Right, we are live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, my apologies. This program should have started some 33 minutes ago. Unfortunately, we run late. I run late, and it's all a fault of mine, not the guest. It's all my fault. So say we get other either primary or secondary things them for do away from waiting we did do so. But we hold great pride in waiting we did do, and today, the 17th of August, 2022. This is the TNN TV Media Empire, and we get this special program where we done the whole throughout the week of the 10th up to this point. The significant thing about this broadcast today is today mark the 7 days. And when I know say 7 days now with tradition and culture, very important about events. But 7 days don't pass since a bloody protest. A protest turned bloody, became riotous, and eventually turned bloody. And a lot of people die. And as we speak today, people continue for die. What you want for understand from we guest who we can today, who is a media pundit, sometimes get in voice out there, they tell people analysis where people like can appreciate. Of course, not everybody can appreciate them, but you got a lot of people we can appreciate the analysis. And it does have an impact out there. That's what I'm trying to say. So we want to talk about the protest both before, during, and after. What you will see soon. For help me for understand this before I introduce my guest. Family, when I know say the state now we country is obviously not too good. What I mean by not too good, I talk about economically. It's not too good. Some people that want make we for believe say now as a consequence of waiting they happen around the world. Even some people say now because of February 24th, when Russia invaded Ukraine, or where Russia waiting and call a special operations now Ukraine, we bring some kind of hardship and difficulty in the world. Where Western economy then we impose sanctions on Russia, then even then too they feel the pinch of waiting exactly they happen. Fuel when they come up from that part of the world, energy, it became difficult because sanctions they on Russia where they supply. Grain, where they use for fix a lot of pastry product, their bread, and you name it. Instead became scarce because then two countries then a massive producer and supplier of grain, especially within the African continent, we depend on them heavily. But suffice me to say that we problem not begin then economically. No, it not begin then. We all know say we problem go far back. And like I can say, we can almost want land me in trouble, but I believe in the truth, and this platform believe in the truth. That some of the problems we will see economically, financially speaking, is as a consequence of reckless spending, fiscal indiscipline as I call them. And we know this because it's well documented. But today, we only mention these things because for let we understand how we arrive usai we did so, we get for understand usai we come out and how we can get to usai we want for go. Now because we go reconcile with the situation we offend we serve, how we come there, we have for find solution to them problem because we don't understand them. Now the only way we go able to go together, not as a divided nation, but as a united nation, for go forward and see a glorious salon. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this now the TNN Media Empire where they bring undiluted news to owner, the friendly people's channel. And I want to say welcome to owner all and please share, let other people get access to this because we need 30 minutes of the program. Once again, welcome. So once more, I bring warm greetings to all the family and we don't tune in so far, but we expect the numbers for rise. We know say we late and make the numbers low for now, but please don't hesitate for share. Quick housekeeping rules. I mean, there's nothing wrong with we disagreeing with each other because the moment this particular moment. It's so toxic, and some things they were they read on social media, it's fearful. So we now we get for make or break. But we get for be really careful with some of the things there. Some people are calling for almost the equivalent of a jihad against another group of Sierra Leoneans. Then if something don't happen, we need for find a wavelength where we all go meet together and forgive and forget and move on. The same thing did not happen before in the 1990s. But this one so serious that almost the streets of Freetown and other parts of the country look like a war zone. Again, once more, for help we for understand all of this, it's a very special guest, well known at the annals of social media. Can I take this time for introduce Mr. Aiah Padente? I hope I pronounce your middle name because sometimes I can get tongue tied, yeah, so I can just cut and short P. Aiah P. Thomas to the program. Yeah, welcome. It's good to see you. It's been a while, but you look quite well. I hope family they do well. And welcome to the TNN Media Empire program.
Thank you very much for having me, Mr. Kroma. It's a pleasure to be on the TNN TV Media Empire. And thanks to all the listeners and viewers out there for joining us. And those who will be joining us later, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Let's just go straight to it because we're already late. No need for let we belabor or beat around the bush any longer. From your views now, social media and other writings, then where you can also do. I take it that you are liberal, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. You're a liberal guy, and normally people who are liberal, even if you're not liberal, but there are caveats around waiting liberal can do and waiting conservative can do or entertain or not entertain. The first question to you, Mr. Thomas, is do you believe in protest, the action of protest by people? Do you believe in protesting?
I believe as human beings, we always get issues the way they come up. There's never an instance where everything is perfect. There is never an instance where we are perfect. That's why there is never an instance where everything is perfect. And since we are not perfect as human beings, it means say people are being able to put in leadership positions. Then leadership styles and their attendance to the people that would vote them in, it can never be enough. As a result, there is always room, there should always be room in a democratic governance for make people able to express their grievances. Because if you don't allow people to express their grievances, then it builds up and builds up and builds up and ferment into something where becomes ugly and destabilizing. So, yes, in essence, I fervently believe in protests. I'm a social worker by profession. And I can tell you that allowing people to make them express their views, make them exercise their rights and liberties is a fundamental value of my profession. So I believe in protest. I fully support any protest that is legal, a protest that has clear aims and objectives, a protest which seek the best interest of the masses.
Okay, many thanks for that, Mr. Ia. And I do actually want for resonate them views and they because I hold similar values that especially things that are enshrined in the constitution that there is a reason. I mean, the right to protest is there, but it does come with responsibilities. But you get for allow people at some point to vent their anger, yeah, their frustration, their feeling. But it has to come with responsibility. It has to come with timing. It has to come with security measures. But for continue for deprive people, of course, it does create more and more, yeah, pressure on the pressure cooker pot. Yeah, let me go straight to the protest where we see now we streets of we capital, where became reminiscent of the wartime now we country. Some people actually see them as such, and it did look like yeah, war zone where people were being killed, and violence, yeah, unleashed on the streets of we capital for that matter, let alone, yeah, other places. Let me hear your perspective on that. What did you see and how you take what you see?
Look, Mr. Chroma, these protests, um, if you don't mind, why don't we start off before the protest so
Oh yeah,
that people,
absolutely. Please do, because
yeah,
that's the
so
idea.
people,
Yeah,
yeah,
pre-protest, protest, and post-protest. Yes.
yes, so people will really follow through with the points they will try for make and to the try for achieve. Before the protests, we see a lot of challenges where citizens then they go through. A lot of challenges in the sense that it will start from people feeling disgruntled with the executive arm of government, which is the president, and down people feeling that they're not doing what they were voted to do, people feeling aggrieved that their voices have not been heard, people feeling excluded from governance. So these are issues where if people had only raised for years, and by measure of or reactions and comments on social media, people felt that the government was not listening to them. That is one. If you go to the legislative arm of government, people were aggrieved. Imagine the legislative arm of government was labeled as the third most corrupt institution in Sierra Leone. So these all these things build up to, the angers, and frustrations of people, the laws that have been passed. You know what I mean? The census where now it's almost, I'll say it's passed, and and a lot of other things that we build into that, and then obviously the most recent one is the Parliamentary Welfare Act or Parliamentary Welfare Bill that was presented, was tabled in Parliament. At first, it came out to look like, oh, we don't know about nobody knows, it's a private member bill, and at the end of the day, everybody knew about it and everybody supported it. So there's a lot of decisions that have been made in the Parliament that citizens are displeased with. Now, you come to the judiciary arm of government. The judiciary arm of government is another arm that people generally felt displeased with. What do I mean by that? Um, you look at lots of cases where people they feel like disenfranchised, people they feel like their rights and liberties have not been adhered to. Cameron Best case is one of the things. But the top of all of this, now a famous musician, um, Alaji Hamadu Ba, aka Boss LA, the treatment that, the inhumane treatment where he suffered at the hands of the law enforcement officers. And then his entourage been sent to jail for 3 years. And he has not been sentenced yet. He kept appearing in court. So you can see, say, all the three arms of government, the legislative, judiciary, and the executive, people are displeased. Generally, majority of citizens are not pleased with their performances. So that it build up to a lot of things, and of course, you get price increments as well. Fuel is a huge fuel. The increment get huge implication on Sierra Leone. What do I mean by that? When fuel price goes up consecutively in just 2 weeks, you have fuel price going up twice. It goes up from 9,000, 12,000, 14, 15, to up to 22,000. It destabilizes the entire country because people moving from one place to another, moving goods and services from one place to another, the prices increase. Increment of fuel prices impact all of the activities then they. So it slows down economic activities and it piles pressure on the common man. So these are the issues that have been building up with citizens. Now, there is a global trend. There is no denying the fact that there is a global trend. The global trend, we've got not only about the Ukraine-Russia conflict. It has started pre-COVID. You understand? COVID started in 2020, March 2020. They actually take over the world. So that was 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, where COVID started. We all that in terms of economy, we were stable. In terms of prices, it was stable. You understand? Rice prices was around $200,000 leons, and cement prices was around 45. Like Leon Sim was 45,000 leons. Dangote was 40,000 leons. So all those things were cheaper pre-COVID. But when COVID hit, the prices go up, and not only in Sierra Leone, entire world. The entire world affected. Prices of fuel went up, prices of goods and services went up. And then after 2 years, then we get this Ukraine-Russia conflict. After one and a half year, we get Ukraine-Russia conflict. The Ukraine-Russia conflict, it threw everything out of balance because these two countries are major suppliers of wheat and fuel and energy, gas, and so on. So that also affect the entire world. So all these things bubble together, where force people and for become so aggrieved to the government. Now, the biggest issue in terms of the strike, before the strike, Mr. Kroma, is the fact that people as citizens were not given the opportunity to vent out their frustrations. That is my issue. It is not mainly so about mismanagement and all of this, because we know all them predecessors, we don't mismanage the economy at some point. A lot of government people don't get them, we don't fail at some point. But I can tell you this without any hesitation. Dr. Nkrumah allowed citizens to express their frustrations with him. He allowed that. You understand? When he was president, I visited Sierra Leone on several occasions and made and expressed my views without the slightest care that somebody is going to hurt me. Never. You understand? And there's several other pundits in Sierra Leone within that time, and we're able to express their views. Can you say the same thing now? You understand? You can't say the same thing now. You understand? So it's the suppression. People suppress from when this government take over. There has been an instance in 4 years where this government actually issued out protest permits. There's never been an instance that I am aware of over 4 years of the Bureau administration where protest permits was granted to citizens. There's never been, and that's very, very disturbing.
No,
Because I
yeah,
tell you,
just a quick one. You go
Mr. Kroma, in
continue.
Australia, people
Yeah,
have protested the prices of the economic crisis because it is economic crisis here. My motor drive na diesel. I paid over $2.40 per liter from $1.10, $1.20. I paid over $2.40, more than double. And some people suffering. You go to a supermarket now, they're selling type of food. You can't see it. This is Australia, first world country. You can't see it because of the crisis in Ukraine. But citizens are allowed to express their views without any restrictions on social media, in groups, political parties, and that happens in Europe. People they say nobody knows strike now Europe. That is not true. There's been series of strikes in Europe. Series of strikes in Europe. Why do you think what is this guy's name? Boris Johnson? It's not because of the party. So no, that is just a precursor to a lot of issues that were the economic issues that was boiling. Now, economic issue, they make them kick him out. He's one of the most popular prime ministers in the history of the UK. And you look at several other things, you say Biden is so unpopular in the US is because of the economic hardship in the USA. So there are lots of government that have, because people should be allowed to vent out their frustration, to protest and express their dissatisfaction at the situations when they go under in Sierra Leone. Citizens have been deprived. So when we talk about the pre-protest, which we don't build up before the protest, those are the issues. And if you tell me, Mr. Kroma, I also want to hint on pre-protest. Pre-protest gets Adebayo where the society been don't tolerate. You understand? Adebayo don't the cause for me cause since and it's by Kroma. It only cause since and it's by Kroma in time. But why was it that nobody knew? Most people never knew about it since Kroma. No, most people people never knew about it. We were the people that people knew. To be very honest and fair, I didn't even know him. You understand? It was just only when over 2 years and it that is insult. So why was it that nobody knew about him all
Okay, I think we get some
when and it's by command was
I think we get some internet
office
problem.
and it's
I think we get some internet
all
problem,
right.
famulem with your Thomas. Yeah, continue for speak. If I speak over you now because we experience, yeah, some frequency problem. But continue for speak
Okay.
because you sound a little bit clear just now.
All right. Is this okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right. I can switch over to a different device if that's an issue. Yeah.
No, I think say now
Mm.
now the frequency me where they host you. I don't think say the problem is yours. I do experience
Okay.
this kind of problem, especially when the internet is fully loaded. And as I come and
Yeah.
not disconnect boku of me gadget them and me picking and gadget them. So I just come
Okay.
straight in the studio. But
Okay.
let me try. Yeah, continue please.
Okay. So Adebayo came to the limelight barely 2 years ago. Barely 2 years ago, he came to the limelight with insults, with the bastardization of we moral values and everything that we represent. Why is that? The reason view why Adebayo came to the limelight is because people became so frustrated with the government, they're looking for anything and everything where the way we express their anger. And Adebayo in insult, Adebayo in personal attack, he fulfilled that void, citizens. That is why he became popular because citizens are not allowed to express their views. Citizens are not allowed to protest. So the guy who has no bearing on his word is then held high. So Adebayo invalidity was made possible by the Bio administration. That is my view on Adebayo invalidity. It was made possible by Bio government, the way Bio in government restricts citizens from expressing their views. Now, let me go to let me stick with pre-protest. Pre-protest, we saw that Adebayo, just in the moment they protest next week. Oh, he did not say that. Adebayo and the team this protest built the momentum over several weeks in several different audios. In more than, I think, more than 40 or 50 audios, he was building the profile for the protest. You understand? More than 40 to 50 audios. This boy was building the book profile for his protest. He was talking about the protest. He was talking about what our developments are, what they plan, what they're going to do next, what the dates are for the protest, what people do. Everything was for the government. With the government, especially the Ministry of Information and Communication, the ministry, the department called Strategic Communication Department, they made a mockery of him. You understand? They made a mockery of him. They were all laughing. They were all saying, "Oh, look at this football, this wayward ball, this." Every one of them on social media was making a mockery of him. Instead of countering what he was saying, they did not counter his rhetoric. They did not counter. So guys busy trivializing building and building. So these are the issues where happen pre the protest, before the protest. Now that made the protest succeed because all the issues there where I don't mention to you, all the plans there where Adebayo put out there that nobody reacted to. Nobody can say no, it's illegal protest without permit. Nobody can say no, You know, go be violent in protest. Nobody no can say no. They say is wrong. Nobody no can say no. This then the government they do. This then the government get planned. This when they listen to you. This the government want to let you understand. Yes, we have this and these issues, and we understand it's part of it is global issues. Part of it we have some issues in Sierra Leone. We are working on them. We want you to know we are listening to you. There was no level of reassurance. There was no level of response to Adebayo's plans. You understand? So everything was pretty much left to sail on its own. Pretty much. And then the security sector. Now you get the security sector of the police under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Panda and Lima. They're brutalizing citizens all over the country. You understand? Extrajudiciary killings are going on. Evangelist Samson is one of them. He's a victim of that. They failed to prepare as well. They failed to prepare. What did they do? With all the resources we didn't get at their disposals, what did they do during the time, the weeks and weeks that they had that Adebayo was preparing for the? What did they do? Nothing. Zero. Nada. They don't do anything for citizens. That is my point. They don't do anything for during that time. So here, me, they work with picking away the day in care. I manage a program with picking away the day in care. Anytime where they manage a program, I don't look at only yesterday. I don't only look at today. I don't look at tomorrow or next month or next year. I plan for everything. My planning way I do it for all eventualities. I look at everything, and if I see behaviors now, I try to put plans in place for ensure that those behaviors are addressed. If I see staffing issue, I put plans in place. I don't wait until everything falls apart. I really rush around from brand to brand like a headless troop. No, this particular protest, the authorities were grossly unprepared. They trivialize Adebayo's, trivialize social media. They granted at all
Yeah, but
levels. Ministry of Communication.
yeah. Can you hold your thoughts right there for a moment, if you will, please? So you keep saying, yeah, like Adebayo's comments
Yeah.
were trivialized and then turned into joke and what have you, and government not being prepared even for use their own machinery. But leading up to the protest, it will appear for those of us who was on that in services in Sierra Leone began wind of the protest that was to come or what was to happen. Because we easily see the mobilization of security forces, the police, paramilitary, in the dozens, they threaten the people them on videos, showing that there is a state of preparedness. We see some state actors come out with statements. We see supporters of the government, come out with statements as well. Some were threatening and what have you. All of this is indicative that let me get an idea of what was to come and be threatening the people and say, if we're not there. So I don't know whether you can deal with that because it's like they were not aware
What
of
I
the
want to
state
say,
of the
Mr.
masses.
Kroma, Mr. Kroma, what you talk about now the protest, not to pre-protest, not to pre-protest. There is
No, yeah,
no point.
na pre-protest that they talk about. We see the videos that will come out
No, the
where
protest
they show the
started.
soldier man
The
them.
Mr. Kroma, the protest started on a Monday. Sit down at home. You understand? I'm talking about before Monday, from Sunday till before the internet. What happened? Nothing happened. We didn't see any of that. The protest itself, it started on Monday. It did not start on the 10th. It started on the 8th. You understand? So everything when you talk about is correct. But that's protest. That's during the protest. That's not pre-protest. Pre-protest, we never saw anything. In fact, the Minister of Information, Fasadu Bangura, and several others were trivializing it on Sunday. On national TV, they were trivializing the protest. You understand? They had all those resources at hand. They were laughing about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we go easily say then there is a failure on the part of the state to have responded, yeah, either for avert the protest or even take care of the protest in a kind of different way, allow the people for vent their anger. And if that's your take, where did the violence started from? Because I believe say you don't move into the protest period now.
All right. So into the protest period. So let's start off with the Monday of the 8th. You understand? The 8th of August. The 8th of August, the entire Sierra Leone was laid bare, was empty. You understand? A lot of people they talk now Freetown no more, now McKinney no more, now this no more, now the opposition stronghold. That is not true. That is so untrue. You understand? There are lots of places where streets were made empty, including Bo Kenema. You understand? People stayed home. People stayed home. So what I'm
No, no,
saying is that the failure not
yeah,
only
yeah,
started.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Permit me again. I like for interject now my
Yeah.
program just to make sure say we dey we dey understand we self and people and they understand where we drive into. So because this narrative was parroted many a times, you seem for the sound like it was intentional for say that these protests were only held in an opposition stronghold. But now you they say no, people did stay home even na government locate strongholds. But were they? Is it possible that they did so on the basis of just being scared? Like businessman not come up for open shop, they not participate, they not willing for sit at home, although it sound like that. But now because he be scared for go open his shop, let not loot his shop. So he did sit home or they sat home.
That could also be the case. That could be a contributing factor because we know Adebayo made lots of threats to Okada riders, to private and public transportation providers, to business, petty traders, and so on, that they would be vandalized if they operate as per usual. So they were terrified. But what this also tells you is that the citizens were not properly prepared. Like the government did not come and say, no, go to work, do what you need to do. Don't listen to this guy. We're here to save, protect you, your lives and properties. Nothing of that sort happened. So the citizens only went with the threats that Adebayo was making. And most of them stayed home as a result because they were afraid. The government did not provide any reaction. And
Okay, I think yeah, don't freeze there again. So we observe these.
you
Yeah, carry on.
I let me see. I'm not sure if it's my internet. My internet is excellent. But let me see
Okay,
if I have to
okay.
move. Yes.
If you want to do something
Yeah.
about that,
Is
just
this?
for proof, say not to me or
Yeah.
you,
Can you?
you can
Yeah.
try
Can
for
you
adjust that
pause
while I
me?
take the floor.
Yes. Yes, please.
No worries, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, Fambulem. Just a quick reminder. This now the T and N TV media empire where they broadcast on a live simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. We dey ask una please, let's subscribe. The subscription rate is growing so fast and is organic. We not pay nobody one penny. Now either people and will equity with the say, and I suppose say even people that will not equity with the say are still contributing in terms of subscription towards the program. Not a money, just for click a button on YouTube, you click the red button, subscribe button, and that means you dey subscribe to the platform. And on the same YouTube, if you can equally click on the bell and on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the interesting and, as many people have described it, educative program in which we take the middle ground. Now only pinheads they think say you cannot lay towards the side. Now this platform will invite people from various backgrounds, political, social, religious, and you name it. For Canada the platform, that we can have a conversation about with state. That's what we are interested in. Questions where I go post to people that when they appear on the platform, one-sided. Okay, if I invite two people them and me view resonate with a earlier speaker, and not mean say we dey against the other speaker. Is I disagree with what the other speaker they say and agree with what one speaker they say, not because I feel like, but because it's substantiated. It can be proven, it's reference. That's why I agree. And if you, the other one, they talk waiting it's reference, and you na kuku jumuku na you dey pan talk pa. No. That's not tolerated on this platform. When we invite you, Naya, like any other platform, if I were to be invited to another platform, I expect say the host of that platform, in fact, it's an unwritten rule. There is mutual respect vis-a-vis the host and myself and the host, providing that I'm a guest. Now the example and they use. So when the host want talk, I got for listen to what the host get for say. You see, he keep the pause and he pick up anything anytime I want to say something, I want to interject, he pauses. He give me the chance, because now you develop something. But then you want to talk all over the host and claim, even though you don't talk a lot earlier on, and claim say, well, now una they talk past me, una they boat me, una they do this, that's childish. We don't do that here. Where you can the judgment a day to public opinion. Not so we they make that judgment day. We just they do what we supposed for do. Of course, if they say are wrong, we entertain feedbacks, but we get the onus for explain to we people the way it mean, because observing media alone, they tell me that there's a lot of errors on all sides, both on the presenter or anchor side, and most people and when they watch as well, they get a different take. But if we go deep down, we delve deep down, we will understand a lot of things. Fambul, and today, now the 17th of August 2022, we are talking about the protest in Salome. We dey talk about pre-protest and we get a very, very good guess with analytical skills. I won't doubt that. And not say every time he get 100% too, because he get for be an Albert Einstein. But definitely, it can weigh in on them public debates there. And very controversial at times as well, where people and they expect them for lean right, in the lean left, or in at the middle. But of course, he voices out his mind. And people like this, I believe, say the public for the entertain. So you can disagree with them. There's nothing wrong with that. And I believe, say, the brother himself, they disagree. And they encourage people in the chat room, let we keep them clean, let we keep them civilized and decent. The country, the tension is high, the division is growing, but we all get responsibility for try, for narrow that division there, and hopefully close the division gap. We understand that. But from waiting they see in social media and other places, some people are heart so warm that waiting and they call for, they born good picking and we need for stop. Are they admonish people? Are they appeal to people? Let's stop. So once again, we talk to ERP Thomas, when we guest here tonight, we the help we for understand pre-protest, the protest, and post-protest. So I believe say we did in between pre-protest and the protest itself. I know say you been to say
Yeah.
something, but before we dey go back there here, I wonder we talk about the alleged planners. We go talk about at length where we can to post protest, because now from the security services, from the mouth of the president, they're not give me a clue, although it sounds like outright verdict pre-investigation that this is the case. But because you mentioned an individual or the names of individuals pre-protest, like you man where you say them in the laugh at, where you been making 50 video them in the planning stages. Could it be true that the planners, as the president say, is true by any chance pre-investigation? I hate for ask this question, but this is not the highest gentleman of the land. Now in the say so.
Well, in terms of the people that are involved, the ones that we know have already identified themselves. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
ones
listen.
that we know, Adebayo don't claim say in are the leader of the PPP movement. Something is not right. Can I go out and come back in?
You
Is
dey
it
sound
possible?
clear again. Just try am for 1 minute and let's see whether it go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I will use a different device, but if
No,
I
no.
will go out
Continue
and
for
come
talk.
back in,
Continue for
but
talk. If
yeah,
you break again, then you can go. I will tell you that you can go out and come back in. But for now, it sound a little bit clear. So continue. Okay. There's a huge delay. Okay. Yeah, you can go out and come back in. Yeah. Okay. I mean, me guess defend and difficult with internet services. May guests defend and difficult with the internet services. So it's gone out to come back in. This is a very important discussion that we the whole year. So, Fambule, one thing we for keeping at the back of my mind is we nation day in turmoil. We nation, I repeat, day in turmoil. This is a FACT in capital letters. Fact. We nation is in a turmoil. Once again, we nation day na a crossroad. We nation day na a crossroad. The propensity for letting turnover upside down, where foot lay up, it lay down. It did right before we eyes. It did right before we eyes. In a state of confusion, turning in the widening guy. The falcon cannot bear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy set loose upon we nation. Of course, it's not reached that point yet, but the telltale signs are there. So therefore, there's a responsibility on we part. There's a responsibility on we part that we can turn this thing around and find some kind of inner sanctity and peace for we nation. Rather than words that are poisoning the nation. Vexatiousness, because they come against we, so we say if they go back against them, tit for tat. Not forget the biblical verse that says, violence begat violence. Violence begat violence. If we begin to think, it's been a week today we commemorate 1 week from when this thing happened. As a nation, we don't grow. As a nation, we don't become sophisticated in some sense, although the illiteracy rate is still high. But I know say we are people of common sense. We need for begin think differently. That if we allow we nation for erupt again, also we people then go. Those of us in the diaspora, we are already here, but not miss say where we did here. 1, 2 of us. The bulk of we extended families are back home. We know what happened the last time where we see Kuskas in our country. Where we people and get for go lay down and go na other people in country, na camps na other people in country. I lived in a camp before, so I know camp life. I've lived in 2 camps, so I know camp life very, very well. I was doing well, even when I've been there, but I observed poverty. I observed humiliation, and I don't want to let that kind of thing and they happen again. So we get an opportunity for reverse the cause of action where they happen. Many killings have gone on. Many, many killings have gone on. And as we speak, it continue for go on. But waiting will say, so far, can we call a halt to this? Can those voices who are calling for their pound of flesh, can they just be reasonable enough? Can they find magnanimity inside themselves? Can they find reason? Can they reflect? Can they inflect and realize, say, this is not a good thing at all? Because nothing lasts forever. Today is you, tomorrow it could be someone else. The perpetrators of today could have been long gone. And the picking them, the grand picking them, where them born, we not get nothing for do with this. We not be even understand. We not be even themselves where this thing happen. Because some then thing there, it take 50 years, it take a generation, 100 years and above. But people never forget because it become oral history. Those that are affected today, then they pass on down to the kids and kings. And I saw the word they go from month to month to a point where it becomes so toxic that forgiveness not in at the heart, because once upon a time somebody been deliberately deprive somebody of a family member in a gruesome way. Fambulem, we get something for do we all. We need for begin for admonish with government. Say, Papa government, enough is enough. We dey understand the vexatiousness of some people. We do understand that. We not me say we agree, because it cannot be life for life. Not because somebody take life. The country is a country of laws. If people violate the law, let the cause of the law takes it. Let it take in place. Allow the law for you're taking cause. Extrajudicial killing in a modern republic It's uncalled for, it's uncouth, it's barbaric, it's violent, and it's not good at all in any shape, sense, or form. Somebody take life, that person there is punishable by the law. You cannot exact revenge in a modern society, say, well, me go kill, pass out, then kill. Doesn't work that way. Here you be there on the floor and you're back. If you remember where you were, you can
Yeah.
continue from this.
So you've been asked, Mr. Cromer, you've been asked me about people that were involved, the organizers of the protests. That was the
Yeah,
question.
correct.
And when I was saying that the people the way they organized the protest, they'd already identified themselves. You know, Adebayo has claimed credits that he is the leader of PPP. And we also know a lot of other people that wouldn't support this movement. I don't want to name names because I don't want to implicate people. People that don't already suffer long enough, people that don't already suffer at home, then families that don't suffer, you know, the wrath of the
But
government enough.
here again, how do you know the equity you claim? So I know a lot of people. Is it pre or is it post? How do you know?
In terms of the suffering.
No, no, I mean, no, no. You say you know people that way also support. Few don't
Yes,
come out and not implicate themselves, but you also know people that way not don't come out and implicate themselves, but you know them. So my question to you is, did you know this information pre or post protest?
I know this information pre because they were there finding it, they were sharing Adebayo's content, they were releasing their own contents as well. And during the protest, they were also part of it throughout the protest, supporting it. Some of them backed off. After we don't see a lot of people being killed. That's when some of them backed off. But most of them, they stayed with the protest until recently when they started killing and the authorities they started engaging in extrajudiciary killings. That's when some of them backed off and they are very quiet now. You don't hear them because they're afraid for their families, they're afraid for themselves. So they've backed off. But most of them stood with the protest throughout the protest, the planning of the protest, throughout the execution of the protest. They were part of it. So I want to reserve my views in terms of mentioning those names because I don't want to endanger anybody or their families. Yeah. So
All right, yeah,
so so
yeah, go
I
on, go on.
yeah. So I don't want to endanger any one of their families, but we all know you anybody who don't do on social media, you know who were the people that were spearheading the protest. And I tell you, some of those people they genuinely be just want change. They genuinely just want to express their views. They want a platform for let citizens able to express their views. Most of them that I know very decent people on social media will support this protest without knowing the intent of the protest that it was going to be this violence, that so many people are going to be losing their lives, that it was going to be destabilizing. That was not their intent. That is why I will never mention their names because that was not their intent. Some of them, their intent was to ensure that the plights of the people, which is genuine, by the way, people had genuine plights, genuine concerns. They were suffering. People are still suffering in Sierra Leone. So people wanted to express, to make sure the president and the government understand what they are going through. And they had no platform of expressing that. They had no groups. No groups were tolerated. We saw even petty groups were deprived of meeting. So there was no way citizens could ensure that the government truly understands and hears their cry. So the protest was the only way. The only issue is that you had. That's why I never support. I think that people should be able to express their views. I think people should be able to protest with or without permit. I think people should be able to express their protest. However, when you have certain people, Brother Cromer, I look at you, I say, okay, if Brother Cromer they organize a protest without clearance, I think with or without clearance, citizens should be able to express their protest. That is my position. But I believe that there are certain people who will lead a protest where I go to my behind them and sing. Where I go to my behind them. But there are other people who will lead a protest where I will walk up far away from them because I don't want to be remotely associated with them. That was the case with this protest. I believe The views of the people should be expressed with or without consent from the government. They should be expressed. In a democratic dispensation, people should have the right to express their views, their grievances to the government that they elected into office. You understand? It's the basic right of citizens. However, when you get somebody such as Adebayo, we don't threaten for kill people and threaten for vandalize, threaten say if you come on at all, they broke you Okada, would they burn you shop, would they do this, would they do that? I will not subscribe to such protests. That is why during the planning days, I was one of the first people to criticize it, to say this is wrong. You can't follow this guy. He's a lunatic. You can't follow him. And throughout that period leading to the protest, calling on the government to stand up to it. Instead, the government trivialized it. And that is why we are where we are today. I blame the government for the menace that has been caused. I hold the government responsible for it. Yes, there are political elements that took advantage of it, whatever, but the government had all the resources at their disposal to prevent what has happened. They had everything in their disposal. Why is it that right now the place don't come? It's because they utilized the resources. These resources were there before now. They were there before now. They were not utilized. They were not utilized to ensure the safety and security of citizens. They sat there, they reacted to the protest. They did not proactively respond to it. They reacted to it. Then wait for still ultimate mix up box up. And that time then begin to put plans in place. Let me tell you this, Brother Chroma. If you look at the protest kindling, they sit at home. After that Monday, then you see Minister of Information, Minister of Trades, then they come on the market, then go on the rain, they encourage people to come out. You see the reaction. There's a reactionary leadership that we've seen. It was after they sit at home on Monday. They went out encouraging, reassuring citizens, then going out. They should have done that before Sunday. But they did it on Monday when all the streets were empty. They went into panic mode. And the president was not in town. And then they knew that Adebayo and PPP leaders had already said the protest on the street, the demonstration on the street was going to be on Wednesday. The vice president is in charge of local law enforcement, such as the police, is in charge of the police. You understand? The Ministry of Internal Affairs, they report directly to the vice president. The police report directly to the vice president. So they saw that Adebayo was funding the protest for Wednesday. We are coming out to demonstrate on Wednesday. We're sitting at home on Monday and Tuesday. What did they do? Did they employ security apparatus on the street? No. Did they reassure citizens that they are going to be going out to protect them? Yes, they did over the various medias. They say, "Una come out, una don't worry, we'll go protect you and stuff." They did not install any security apparatus anywhere in the country on Monday, Tuesday. They had all those opportunities to do that. You understand? It was only on Wednesday now when people don't come on the street, they vandalized the protest. That is when you saw the police officers coming out. By then, those people that the government had encouraged on Monday and Tuesday for letting them continue with their normal business, they had opened, some people opened their shops, some Okada riders, we saw on videos, taxi drivers being brutalized, Okada riders being beaten and killed. Some of those people killed were Okada riders, poor Okada riders. So what I'm saying is that the government was poorly prepared for it. They were poorly prepared for it. It was only on Wednesday afternoon that they started reacting to it, and Thursday they started reacting to it, then cut off internet because they were poorly prepared for it. If you really want to respond to that protest, you want cut off internet, you will do it on Sunday. You will do it on Saturday, not even on Monday. You understand? You go deploy police officers them on the streets of Freetown on Sunday. You understand? Not even on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday or Thursday. No. You reassure people by installing police officers on the streets, ensuring that people feel safe. They did not do it. It was only on Wednesday afternoon, not even Wednesday morning. It was Wednesday afternoon. After the protest don't kick off, better one. That's when they started, and they failed because they were ill prepared. On Thursday, Soldier Man go on the streets, and the protest got out of hand. You understand? That is what has happened. This is not a thing that would build up to that. Now, we got to get into the extrajudicial killing. I'm sure you lead me to that conversation.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely. We will definitely get there, brother. I assure you of that because that's a critical component of this conversation that we are having. Whether there's a necessity. I mean, it's a necessity because there is a case being built. My question to you at this particular point in time is: accusations have been made that the biggest opposition party, the All People's Congress, they are behind this particular protest. I don't know what's your take on this here because you are a man of a critical mind. So before yeah, because I can like for ask double jab question, not just actually straightforward in the first place. What's your thoughts about this particular accusation that the APC is behind this particular protest?
my brother, Mr. Chroma, I tell you, there are different factors at play. If you permit me, let me highlight those factors before they begin cost me on my life. Highlight those factors.
So, my brother, yeah, we've got all the time because now this I want to let you do elucidate. I want to let you flow. I want to let you be fluid so that
Yes.
everybody gets to understand your position as you understand the protest. So please feel free, take all the time you want.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chroma. Because when you say something with favor SLPP, APC will
You
cost
are
you. You say
APC.
something with favor
You are
APC,
what a
yes.
tough
So
world we live in.
yeah, so now provide the background analysis before I make a conclusive statement.
Yeah.
Now, the background is that number one, citizens were suffering. The suffering of citizens has been building up for 4 years to now. You understand? In fact, even beyond that, the reason why you get and is by Kuruma and APC in opposition today is because of the suffering of citizens. Citizens were suffering throughout that time. So they decided to change the government in April 2020, 2018. But the suffering did not stop there. From 2020 to now, for the past 2 years, the suffering has been building. So citizens wanted to be able to express their views, and the Bureau government, failed to provide protest clearance. They failed to provide it. On numerous occasions, they failed to provide it. I, as an analyst, I, as a social media blogger, I am not aware of a single protest permit that was issued to any groups.
I
None.
mean, forget earlier on, I want to tell you so no, there has been, but it's been pro government. There has been, but it's been pro government. Where some
Well,
CS with them, were
pro-government
pro.
protest is not really a protest in the interest of citizens, is it?
Okay,
It's not in
so
the
the
interest.
specific
So
here in the
I don't
interest of
look at that.
citizens. Yeah, okay.
Uh-huh.
You got your point here. Continue, please.
Uh-huh. The real protest is the protest that is not organized in support of government. That's not protest. That's commendation. So um, there's never been anyone organized. Let me take that correction on board, Brother Chroma. By opposition factors. It's never been. So that don't silence the views of thousands, if not millions, of citizens. Now, citizens then take over and then take onto social media for express their views, and then the government passes cyber act. You understand? Cyber act where they target citizens' their voice on social media. So where do you express them to express their views? Where do you expect them to? So the citizen virtually had nowhere to safely express their grievances against the government. You understand? So that don't build up. That's number one. And then with all the hardship, all the dramas, that don't build up. Now, you don't get that don't build up, but you also get political play at also. You get APC, then they try to come back now power next year. So they are bending, they're taking advantage of the plight of citizens then for talk about the plight of citizens. So if rest price do go up, yes, it's true, rest price don't go up. APC go inflate and I say, They don't sabi what they do. They don't make decisions. We don't make people in life horrible. This. So they amplify it to a level that is not even there yet. So that's the advantage that the opposition, and this is natural in any other country for opposition factors to take advantage of economic situations. It happens here, it happens in the US, it happens everywhere. So this is the situation. Now, Adebayo, where would they see, and I hate mentioning his name because I don't want to give him any credits. But the guy that you see, this guy don't they cause Mami cause. If you look at it, if you look at his background, he has never insulted certain people. And the only handful of people that he's never insulted, and it's by Koroman, is one of the people he never insults. Usman Fodeyansane is one of the people he never insults. Dr. Samura Kamara. These are the only three people that Adebayo never insults. Nobody else that I know of that Adebayo no cherry mama, even myself sitting here. You understand? Anybody who get opposing views to APC or those three people, he will come after you and insult you in the worst possible way. He has called for the assassination of the president, the first lady, Sam Sumana, and several other people, even opposing factions within APC, to Anes Baikroma, to Yansane, to Dr. Samura Kamara. Now, these three guys have never disavowed Adebayo. Never. These three guys have never publicly come out in their own rights to disavow Adebayo. So the assumption is that if he has never insulted these guys, and these guys have never publicly disavowed him, it's like Donald Trump did not disavow the KKK. So in the US, during the elections, people genuinely assumed that Donald Trump was in support of these racist groups. You understand? He was forced to disavow them, but he refused. So generally, people assume he's part of them. It's the same thing when Anes Baikoroma, Yansane, and Dr. Samura publicly refused to disavow Adebayo. Essentially means that they are in support of it. And we know that the information that Adebayo disseminates on social media is not in Sierra Leone. He gets it from where? Most of the information comes from opposing factors. Because some of the things that he said, you have to be somebody who gets strong links in Sierra Leone, strong links in the civil service sector for making you get the information in there. And he doesn't live in Sierra Leone. So if he's getting all that information and releasing them on social media, attacking personalities, people are automatically assuming that he's getting it from these three guys. You understand? So that's not the background I want to provide to you before I get to the point. Now,
good development to the background, but just a quick injection into that based on this background analysis. Is there a possibility that the information where this young man they also get, is there a remote possibility that it could be coming from within? And when I say within, I believe so you understand what I mean. Yeah. Instead of just saying it come up from external sources within the country, but from within the government itself. Let me just be specific.
I believe that is not the case. Okay. Look at Adebayo and look at Chernobyl. Completely different. You understand? Chernobyl receives information from the within. That is why when he talk about issues, he makes precise reference. When he talk about the amount that was transferred, the alleged amount that was transferred to President Bio during a recent visit to the UK, he not talk about an estimate. He talk about the exact amount that was transferred. You understand? Eh? He talked about exact. And the Ministry of Finance came back and they did a press release and they talked about that exact amount, and that verifies the amount that Cherno was talking. I'm not saying about the purpose of it, but the alleged amount was exactly what the Ministry of Finance verified. You understand? So to me, somebody like Cherno receives information from within. I believe it wholeheartedly because I've seen the evidence of it over and over again. But Adebayo information where they receive, It's scanty information. It's not precise. It's not precision information. So I believe that he is receiving information from opposing factors in with either within APC or somebody that's neutral, but I don't think it's from within the government because most Sierra Leoneans are not happy with the tone that Adebayo uses. The tone that Adebayo uses is not something that sits with our moral fabrics, within our moral fabric. It doesn't fit. And Mami cause doesn't fit, Mr. Cromer. It doesn't. It doesn't fit. It has never fitted into our culture and our way of life and our values. It doesn't. You understand? And the mindset fundamentally, and fundamentally, Sierra Leoneans, majority of Sierra Leoneans will not support him because of that. Just because of that. So this is my view that okay, all this cost, then three people here, they don't say anything about it. Nothing. They've never disavowed, they never stayed away from him, they've never condemned him openly in their own right. They've never done it. You understand? So now a protest takes place, people genuinely want to express their views, they come out on the street for express their views, but because the government don't push them away, who said they for go? Now, towards anybody where they open a arm to them, anybody open a arm to them, when I come to me, I'll support and I will make sure so when I protest go, I'll support them. And the politicians then probably will sit down there and say, okay, if we make this protest go ahead, we support this protest, it goes ahead, it will expose BO in government. It will expose how people in the suffer. The international community is the international community that decides who becomes president in Sierra Leone. It does. When international community stand against Anes by Kroma, he's out. It doesn't matter what he does. So then look at it and say, if this protest is going on, this is my assessment of it, that if they support this protest, the international community will be aware of it. And we all know that BO don't suppress citizens then for 4 years. They don't have any link whatsoever with the international community. The international community feel that the BO government is perfect. We've seen a lot of commendation. It's been credited internationally. You understand? But people are suffering in Sierra Leone. So I think, in my assessment, is that the opposition took advantage of that to ensure that people's views are being able to express so that the international community can hear it. And that has been achieved. So, and the APC interim chairman, Alfred Peter Conte, say elements within the All People's Congress Party were involved in the protest. You understand? He is the highest in terms of hierarchy currently in the country for the opposition APC. He sits at the helm of things. You understand? He's the chairman of the party, saying that elements, people within the party supported this protest. So if you look at all them factors in it, I believe that indeed President Bio is partially correct to hold APC responsible for the protest. But I think it's much more than that. It is not just APC. I believe that the suffering of the people, it don't, that it just don't disappear. It's so sad. It's so sad when I think about Brother Kroma, because the people still continue for suffer, but other people they take advantage of them. The Bio government they take advantage of and say, okay, now opposition, don't put blanket rule. So the voice of the people, the masses with the suffer, get missing in action. You understand? Then the opposition can't take advantage of the suffering of the people for propel their interest. So the suffering of the people got missing. So out of all this, the true people that when they suffer will continue for suffer. So politics is
Okay.
at
Okay, yeah. There's a lot said there. Let me try to unpack some of them, and let begin with them like quick jabs. Um, you agree, say Chernobyl hit the government very much, and Chernobyl in publication them they are international because we know this. Just like how you give the synopsis where you create, the way you deduce adduce by virtue of the name where people and they try to avoid for call, why then they call all others, but then they refuse for call certain name in bad things. We can easily say these people are in support of these people them, or now these people and they support this particular person. So easily for you get to that. So with Chernobyl, you allude say in publications are heavy and is specific, and the publications are international. And we know this. They are being used on mainstream media, cable network, the CNN, the Al Jazeera's, the MSNBCs and NBCs, even when they interview with presidents and and other government officials. Them. Now, check no by material and mostly that are being used and talking about corruption, which means that the international community is informed. Where am I going with this? So you rightfully say the international community, especially for a donor nation such as ours, then get some decision when they can make as to who now the next person we potentially go get for lead the country. Do we actually need the protest or a protest of this kind? Does it actually play, assuming there is APC behind it, does it actually play in favor of the All People's Congress or it put them on the back foot?
I feel say the protest plays perfectly in the interest of the All People's Congress. I feel say the
How? Yeah.
protest also plays a key role in highlighting the suffering of citizens. The protest also don't highlight say not not everything is going well in Sierra Leone. There are things that are not going well in Sierra Leone. I tell you, there are disadvantages and advantages to the protest. I have to admit it. Yes, as ugly as it sounds, there are pros and cons to this protest. Citizens can benefit and lose from it. But let me say, in terms of the advancement of APC, opposition, the reason why I say benefiting. Now, Chernobyl in publications. Yes, it catch the international community, but it's only seen as a whistleblower. It's a one man. You understand? Predominantly one man saying a lot of things. It's hard to believe in a country full of a population of 7.5, 7.6 million, and one person, now you know more, out of all of us, Mr. Chroma, the only person we me know before this protest will catch the eyes of the international community, Chernobyl.
Yes,
The only person
exactly.
that I know. Yes.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
carry on, please. Sorry about that. Carry on.
Yeah. So in essence, when one person they talk all time, it becomes like a music in the ears of the people because they're sitting there. If out of 7.6 million people, now this one great person they talk, maybe this person ain't get a problem. Maybe this person just not like this government, maybe in opposition. People start making up stories. It is hard to believe it. You understand? Now that make out of all within Chernobyl in publication, you don't ever see any regional body react to Chernobyl. ECOWAS not ever react to Chernobyl. The AU not ever react to Chernobyl. The UN not ever react to Chernobyl. No international body has ever reacted to all of Chernobyl in publication, even though they are so convincing, even though they are so powerful. Not a single regional, continental, or international body has ever reacted to what Chernobyl said. You understand? Now, look at this protest. Look at this protest. ECOWAS, and they don't react. AU, they don't react. UN, they don't react. EU, they don't react. You understand? These protests don't catch the international world their attention. The
Yeah, but
entire
yeah,
world.
it's as a consequence. It's as a consequence of waiting play out. There was a protest, and if that protest was successful, I believe say it will not have caught the eyes of them bodies there where you mentioned in this kind capacity. But because of waiting, it turned out to be they are trying to mediate and trying for understand more and more. It's not that they're not doing the cases of corruption and what have you. But the first thing of international organizations is the sitting government they don't speak ill of themselves. They can have them background talk and then depending on how powerful they are. Like the Secretary of State of the United States of America, Mr. Blinken can come and hold Professor Francis behind the scenes and scold them and grill them. But when they come in front of the cameras, it's all smiles and handshakes and the statements the way they can pull out, if you read the text, are well tempered, and they talk about unanimity and blah 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 and what have you. So it's not that kind of toxic venom the way we can spill, in other words. So the people, in my opinion, then come into this picture as a consequence of the action we seen at the streets lately, which get the
Yeah.
propensity for turn the country upside down. And these are the things that the AU stand for. It's no longer about conflict resolving, it's about conflict prevention. So when they see conflict, they come, they get an obligation or onus, for stepping,
Mm.
isn't it?
The protests, people look at if you look at protest definition, if you look at it keenly, is expressing grievances, and people express their grievances in several different ways. You understand? In several different ways. But the bottom line is that, Mr. Chroma, is that this violence will happen in Sierra Leone, this violence protest will happen in Sierra Leone. You don't highlight the suffering of Sierra Leone. I listen to BBC, different
That's true.
international media. They don't in Sierra Leone, and they're there. All this killing. This is Evangelist Samson in execution. It's on BBC. It's on BBC. BBC captured it. They broadcasted it. In any other normal circumstances, you never hear about that. You never hear about it. What you make Cameron by in imprisonment? No international media not talk about it. Why?
But there's no protest, from the people for
Cameron
Cameroon.
higher profile than
It is, it is true. But again, just for go with your logic, what you say, it shows that according to the logic of the West and then media outlets they are, nobody has, done a swan song for him, coming out and saying, we're not going to take this, bloodshed and losing lives and vandalizing properties for him. That would have made the news at the BBC and the CNN. Yeah, exactly. But in this case, nothing of that kind they happen. So then look and like say, of course, now opposition leader, and to me and you, opposition leader, very powerful. But to them, it's just another low profile person, we person and not come out safe, so it does not have
until the government in and then they believe.
now then they believe exactly. This is what I'm trying to say. Until there is people's action, like what happened recently, where I agree with you, they expose the failings of the government, and so therefore capture the minds of the internationality, because people took to the streets, people died, there was vandalism, violence, threats in the streets. And this is again waiting international news media they're interested in. Not to Bible, where you hold Bible and begin read verse, or Quran and begin.
So,
no.
Now, Mr. Chroma, I say the protest key advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, loss of life is an advantage. But the loss of life in itself, the destruction of properties in itself, it has both advantages and disadvantages attached to it. You understand? The reason international, like you said, the international community don't put an eye on Sierra Leone is because of the violence. Because of the violence. And why? Why are some elements in the protest being violent? Because you have to look at it not only the political element. The people that are suffering, they have true grievances, and they feel that they have not been heard. You understand? They feel that they have not been heard, so they are expressing their grievances through violence. You got to look at that. We got to accept that as well at some point. So this is what's happening. So with all this violence, I listen to BBC, different BBC reporters. When they go to na Kenema, na McKinney, go interview people away. One picking when she don't impose the was span because policemen them they shoot, indiscriminately. The stray bullets kill the picking and he enjoying granny. Then they talk about how the bullet it was so hard to listen to. How the bullet can bust a pikin, he kill him, he go bust in granny foot, he go inside the house, how the only way make people were talking about it. BBC, Focus on Africa, was discussing it. You understand? So these are the plights of Sierra Leone. And don't forget, BBC spoke about the suffering of citizens, the economic hardship in the country, the infringement on the rights and liberties of citizens. So all NTN talk about, but they also talk about the government their own concerns. The government in concerns, where they talk about people want to take advantage of the protest for seize government, for overthrow the government. This is a genuine concern of the BO-led administration. With less than 10 months to the election, you have Adebayo calling, BO must go, let's just take over the state house, not take over parliament building, not take over you building on stuff. So government has genuine concerns about the insurrection, the insurrective aspects of the protest. You understand?
So yeah,
So
let we come to that now, because that's very critical, and as we dey move towards post, protests and extrajudicial killings and etc. But you raise a good point there, and a point where I be one for zone in. So yes, allegedly, and by virtue, I mean this is established already. Some were advocating for the taking of state house, BO must go, and you name it. First question to you here: what we hear in the streets, does that amount to a coup plot? And of course, a coup plot leads to the charge of treason or treasonous, because it's like doing treason, the textbook definition. Now, where you dey do something for change, especially a political outcome. Would you say waiting the people let me they shout and do, and some of the planners waiting and say it amount to a coup?
I think some of the things the way people say is their grievances. You understand? I have seen protests in the US in front of the White House where they say Trump must go. You understand? I've seen that several times, Brother Cromer. You and I have seen that on news where people are standing in front of White House with placards say Trump must go. Get rid of Trump. You understand? You know what I mean? Say they want to get rid of the White House.
Exactly, that's my point here. That's my
You
point.
understand?
So when we
Yeah.
transcribe that to the Sierra Leonean scenario.
Yes. So I just draw reference for let citizens they understand where they come up from. You understand? Because
Brilliant one.
when somebody
Brilliant.
say they are protesting, I get right for say I don't want to let my brother Mr. Kroma dey in charge of this media empire. You understand? Mr. Kroma must leave. I get right for express if I feel that way. You know me say I want can kill Mr. Kroma. It doesn't mean that. It means that I don't think Mr. Kroma is fit enough to look after this media empire. It's just an instance. I'm just citing an example. You understand? I'm expressing my grievance. I'm expressing my position, but
Which
I'm
you
not saying
entitled
that.
and then right to as
Yes,
provided by the Constitution. And I like
yes.
the point where you make, and there's a reason why I ask you that question, and you establish and finally. So let's move to the next point. The idea now that the president saying that this rises up to the threshold of a coupist, and a coup now means you are liable to being charged with treason. And charged with treason, know the consequence of waiting treason mean. What thing you take on this here?
I feel say they are in that midst of people a way they may they genuinely express their democratic views and they exercise their democratic right to protest. You also had people within that where they genuinely at some point when they don't see the protest don't build momentum to a certain level, then believe say them for able to overcome the government. I believe that because if you look at it, when I listen and I listened to Adebayo all in audios during that protest because I wanted to get it because the government, if citizens is done house, most of the citizens is done house. So you couldn't really get all your links. Somebody say, hey, bro, I don't want to go out and today. TT1. Most of my links decided to abstain. So I couldn't get the information that I wanted. Even the proponents of the supporters of the protest were sending videos and everything. But where Adebayo they said, this will go through now. Then I state house. Now state house. When the protest started, you didn't hear Bio must go. It was when it built the momentum that you started hearing. So it started escalating into something that it was not initially intended for. Or it didn't appear that it was intended for it. So when he started taking for take out state house, for take out parliament, he said those in his audios. What does that mean to you? If you're
But does that
protesting,
amount
you say
to
you
being insight? Does that amount again to being insightful and leading the people gradually? Where in way the president now say that amounts, yeah, to like wanting to change my government. So it took a different turn, correct?
Yes. So there was an intent. There was an
Yeah, there
intent
was an
at
intent.
some
There were
point.
intent, menstrual. And
Yes.
yeah, let me ask you this now. And again, theoretically speaking, so okay, this now the scenario that's been created, and the situation is so fluid, but there are certain individuals who are controlling the situation, and people are actually listening, or they get people on the ground within the protest itself who are shaping the narrative on the ground. But here is the thing here. So, do we now say there was an intention on the part of APC to take power? If that was the intention, will it have worked that way? This night I want to ask you critically, because it would, even if you amount to a coup, not to APC go take over. It sound like probably they might have ended up in a stalemate in which they go get for this is one scenario, in my opinion. I go like for let you deal with that. Sit on a table and deal with the situation where they go form some transition, whatever they call them, prior to election, because there are things that have not been working legitimately, and the APC feel grievant enough, say, well, things are bad on our side, or the army will have come in and seized the day, and that pushes APC intention for comeback na power, and Marabio potentially removed from power, and a new timetable set. Whichever way look like a lose-lose situation for both sides. You view again, this look intriguing for me. Try for
Yeah.
give me some sense, please. Yeah.
Mr. Kuroma, for make you really um, let viewers then really understand, your question is so deep. It's so deep. And thanks for it. It get me thinking. But I want to draw viewers their attention to the powers of protest. Protest, citizens and they give power. Now they get the true power rests in the hands of citizens. Yes, the order of governance is God, people, and government. That is the order. The people are always more powerful than the government. You understand? The government is employed, they are the employee of the people who are the employer. So that needs to be very made clear. And I want to make reference to the Arab the Arab Spring is starting governments them. You understand? Arabian countries them. How it started now simple people on WhatsApp, like where Adebayo then start. So that's the power of protest. Now so it starts. Say then go inside it and protest and do everything, destabilize everything, take over government buildings and so on and so forth. And then army come out, they still the protest, and finally those governments were kicked out. Egypt is an example, Tunisia is an example, several of those countries an example. And you look at Syria is an example, where it takes then the fight. You understand? Libya is an example. So a lot of these countries, now citizens, ordinary citizens like you and I, we don't get enough. They had enough of the government, decide say, we are going on the street. And that is how they took power. So you can take power from a government without the gun. You understand? And what's on one side, as an interesting component, when they tell you say, BOB actually believes say, they want his power. The reason we make us say that, be 100% believe that, now the reshuffle way it make now the armed forces of Sierra Leone. The first step where President Bio take, not to for address the nation, not to for whatever. The first step he took was to reshuffle the administration of the Sierra Leone armed forces. That is his first step as a president when he returned to Sierra Leone. It shows you how fearful he was, how concerned he was about it. You understand? Because for let the president come before he address the nation, before he take any action, before he look at the security issues, the first thing we do at the army is say, okay, I remove those people. It's because he doesn't trust them. If he doesn't trust them, that is the only logical explanation. He doesn't trust them at the helm of things. So he replaced all the hierarchies of the armed forces of Sierra Leone. You understand? So the power which they draw people's attention is that citizens can actually overthrow a government. We've seen it several times. Me and you, we don't see it several times over the past 5 years. We've seen it. So I don't underestimate the fact that there were elements within the protest whose intention was was in line with resurrection. I don't question that fact. I believe in that. There were elements. I don't know whether it was sufficient enough, but there were elements. Because you see them here, we don't trigger this kind of thing. The army come out, then begin they're very professional with citizens and so on and so forth. You're convincing them. They're people, they can hear the plights of the people and so on and so forth. The protests they go on, they can see and stuff like that. There'll be a time that they'll see that, okay, this is getting out of control. Maybe we should take control and stabilize things. That is the point. We've seen it in Zimbabwe. We've seen all this stuff. And Mugabe was kicked out by citizens. Go to the army when citizens then kick Mugabe out. You understand? So a lot of these things we've seen that builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. What we see in Guinea, we never in Guinea. Then they say Mamadi then can kick the Conde out. Not Mamadi killed Conde out. Mamadi then finish him off. And I claim credit. There was protests. People had died. Thousands of people died. You understand? People were killed. But people came up and protested and stood against this. What happened? Mamadi Doumbouya with a special branch of presidential guards, then come out and take over government. It all started with the most powerful entities in the state, which are the citizens. You understand? So there were elements of the protest that whose aims were to overthrow the government. I believe that they were elements, and I believe that those elements should be condemned because there was no need for that. Like Bio said, our election is not far away. If you want to get rid of Bio, go and vote, get rid of him. But this way of going ahead by protest, if this in our first 1 year or 2 year of Bio government, you go say, okay, maybe it makes sense because you see again another 3 years, people don't want to suffer for that long. But you don't suffer, you don't eat a rat until one time pine tail, you wait when that time passes. But people should protest. They should protest with the aim of highlighting their grievances to the government, not be destructive, not try to overthrow the government.
Be strategic again, because again, this is not the pattern we will use now when we go towards the end of this particular program. You've made quite a critical case, and if you've been doing a court, I'm sure say you will have made quite a case depending on whose side way they represent, but either side that you will have been representing, you sound very good enough that you will have made a good case for either side. But let me take you on this furthermore. So there is 9 months to elections. But of course, there's a case here that the opposition wants to make the government for appear bad, especially so to the international community, if I should understand you well, something where I agree with. But again, the calculation again could have been very much miscalculated,
Mm.
because now that we get the benefit of hindsight, we see waiting happen where I believe say not play, because I look at elections now, because Mr. Bio has been handed the baton and are in the shape the gun right now. Remember, there were many attempts made in Parliament for introduce laws which would have been favorable towards the SLPP, allegedly the SLPP. And then Lord and they it creates chaos in the parliament. And I think say at some point during this program you talk about citizens became aware, and like you actually say and rightfully say, citizens are the most powerful people in the republic. When they decide, yeah, for march and take up action, there is no amount of guns, no amount of state paraphernalia that can stop them. They become supreme. Because why? The government or the powers that be then derive them power from the people, but sometimes they mismanage them power. Then the question to you here, 9 months to elections, and this now with the benefit of hindsight, by the way, 9 months to election, they had a choice of the ballot or protest, a choice of the ballot or protest. And this is assuming, because it's not clear to me yet, because I believe in investigations until they establish the facts that indeed these people were there. We know some people on social media say, where other people and talk about the protest, they share them. But share them in this sense, not to because you know APC means say you are complicit, because we know say generally, and Yusuf self paints the picture. Generally, there was a reason is past now for people for stand up economically, socially, things not be they go on fine at all. So it was spontaneous. Some people get caught out. But 9 months to election year, why will APC, like the Chinese say, lift up a big, big stone? They lift the big stone only for left the stone for don't pan your foot.
This stone, for don't pan in foot. That's the
Okay.
thing. The
Okay.
stone, if we don't pan the government in aid, you understand? You see the actions of the government, you see, say that stone they for don't exactly what APC wale for don't. The reason why I say this is because for 4 years, President Bio, in primary objective was to make sure that he builds the international image and reputation of Sierra Leone. You understand? He built the international image and reputation of a government as a very democratic government, as a government where they do well for people. And he talk about free education at the international media. He talks about freedom of people. Like he talks so well about things. Them some of them are not really in sync with the reality in Sierra Leone. But it talks some of them are. But they talk so well about it that the international community, they're only hearing from the president, they believe everything that he's saying. So the image of Bio government in the international community became admirable. You understand? The image of Bio government in the region became admirable, in the continent became admirable. You understand? That's why he's been invited to so many of these functions. Now, if you're not APC, I go sit down back here, look at that. Hey, this guy has so if we let these guys it go like this, till the election happen, international community will support them. Anybody who say any South international community link, now they didn't win. So let's not allow this to go up to elections without the international community knowing the suffering of citizens, the true sufferings, the true state of affairs of citizens. So they supported a protest. And they turned the protest into what they want to turn it to, so that the international community's attention can be drawn. And now the international community, the attention don't drawn through all those international medias. They went on Al Jazeera, BBC, DW News, all this news, CNN. You understand? They've all come now to Sierra Leone and they're covering. President Bio cannot stop them from moving around the country. They come, they go McKinney, they go Kennyman, they go all these places. They're seeing the reality and they're broadcasting it. They're talking about it. So what this means is that the international bodies go, say, not all Tiwo Binieribo Sierra Leone is correct. There are certain things that are not as good as we heard them. So that they change the position of the international community. That's why you hear the United Nations, they talk about it. The European Union, they talk about it. You understand? You hear all these other officers then and then diplomatic channels that Sierra Leone, they express their concerns about it. True statements. You understand? True statement on their websites, true statements at the press conference where the government will address the international communities. All these things are coming out now. So what they say is that APC, they haven't lost. The APC, they actually, the element within APC, if they aim now for being throw light to the international, for draw the international community there in support, draw away from BO, I think they're on track to achieving that. They're on track to achieving that. And the unfortunate thing is that BO government, the response to this is so aggressive. I feel say BO government now that the international community get eye on Sierra Leone, BO government for don't act in a way that we're consistent with the image where they don't build overseas as a very democratic country, as a country with tolerance, as a country open up to protest, where they serve constitutionality, all this good stuff. Now them for don't demonstrate away international community they eye on them. But they haven't played the game, they become emotional and they're still going on. And international community is still covering what is happening. So this is the thing. So in my conclusive statement is that the element within APC where they want to overthrow this government, they don't partially achieve their aim by drawing the attention of the international community to the plight for saying, this government to all when talking are true. They've done that. They've achieved that. You understand? Now, BO may arrest some people and lock them up till election pass. That's possible. Accuse them of insurrections. All them, whatever they catch, they have communication with certain people. They will go through their phones. So If you're a politician who has been texting some of those boys, telling them stuff, they will come after you and you will be arrested. You will be prosecuted. And you might not be able to participate in the elections. You understand? So all those things are now building up that Bio could use to his advantage and say, hey, look, this is what's coming. This is what we found.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So they
Okay.
don't
Okay.
die when they don't shoot.
Okay. Yeah. I think you made some great points in there, but
Yeah.
let me see whether I can challenge a few of them. So first of all, we know say in diplomatic circles and in government protocols, government can try for use opportunity like if the minister of finance attend a conference on world finance, and then we make us say, you see, they invite we international body, then the IMF or World Bank, still decide for live up to their obligation and give you some grant, which is part of the package. I mean, they can sanction that, but if they sanction that, they know say that would be felt by the people the way they want for they enjoy them benefit and they via the government. So they decide for give that.
Mm,
But at the same time, government, international community, then they can get money the way they want give you, whether they don't plan for give you in trunks or in phases. But then, because of certain things, even though they're still obligated for give you, because they want to keep the government running and not collapse, so they still give you, but in fact, then cut them down into other different phases. In other words, they are listening.
mm,
The point that they try for make here is not so because the president is invited into circles the way he's supposed to come into, as a consequence of him being a head of state, means say they endorse him. At that point in time, he has not done anything grievous or devilish or some genocide for let them what in the Catholic they can call, I think, now when the Catholic excommunicate you, they still
mm,
allow you for you take your seat there, because after all you get some obligation them, and it's difficult if they expel you from the seat.
mm,
And I say this again because if you listen to the president in most recent speech, it is there. I don't talk to the witsman them. It's there clearly,
mhm.
you're kind of bluffing
Yes,
and telling the
that's true.
exact thing. Yeah, exactly, sir. But that's the point I'm trying
So
to make. And another
look,
point I want for
let me
making. Yeah,
let,
okay, deal with
I
that. Deal
just
with that.
add to
Deal with
that
that.
your point. Let add to that your
Yeah,
point.
sure.
I agree with you
Sure.
that what thing they happen. You mentioned before, what thing they happen behind closed doors is usually different from what is actually being put out there. I agree with that 100%. And that's the beauty of diplomacy. Yes, you know, go punch somebody in a corner, then they punch in a corner where they come out, they put makeup, make a nice. Where you come out, you looking good. So I agree with you. That's how it works. However, the local man in Sierra Leone is not aware of that. The common man don't know that. They don't know, say, President Bio or the Bio government has been pressurized or been pulled up by all the mishaps in Sierra Leone. The common man doesn't know that. APCS don't know that. The element within APCS, they don't know that. So if you want to be sure, they want to be sure, they will draw the international community's views and attention right to them. And now they're sure, okay, now they know which they go on. They know anything that happen from here on, they know because the attention has been drawn to it. You see, I believe that's their logic.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Furthermore, um, um, you also say, and this now what you think, that the campaign being led by others, whether or not the Africanist press or people like you and myself and many many others, if it not even they bear fruit, but it bear fruit very slowly. And this na campaign, those of us that are critical of the state, but na campaign where the president they win. And in other words, you say, like the president talk about in free education and blah blah blah. Yes, they do listen, but they understand. And the reason why I bring this come back to you, because you said it, that these are the things that the president is using. But for tell you, say the international community understand. In a recent BBC interview, in light of this protest, where I agree with you 100% that they use the protest for expose the government, but not to only now, the people they all already don't understand. The president, when they ask him about the current social status of Sierra Leoneans, then as usual, the president goes into a meltdown. And one of the things the way he can talk about now, this in flagship program, where, in your opinion, it is good it's not successful yet because now long-term project. But then he can use that for a short-term, yeah, notice in which the BBC interviewer call him, say, Mr. President, but this is a long-term project. The people then they talk about how then they buy bag rest now, how then they put plazas now the rest now, how then they send them picking to school tomorrow. Not only the free education is good, but it's a long-term one. But the president uses that. In the absence of the free education, what else here? Because that tells you that they are already aware. So you can play the card, then they listen to you, but it's a wall of diplomacy. Not like how me and you go deal with our issues, we begin to holler over each other. No, 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 I'm not going to take, no, no, no. They don't talk as such. Only when it become obvious, like what's happening now with the president and the interviewer, the president mentioned when the interviewer asked him quite a critical question as to the protest, where you don't finally articulate now this program. He say, but what's happening now? He say, oh, free education. He mami say, no, that's a long-term project. Waiting on the people they eat now. Is that not indicative again, say, the people that are aware about this your free education project, which is a good one? But what's the short-term goal now? Waiting people and they eat now. You promise people
Mm.
a turnaround.
I believe that there's a lot of factors at play. We don't create awareness to the international
Absolutely.
community. Yes,
Absolutely.
and you've mentioned with Brother Chernobyl, you've mentioned yourself, myself, and several others out there, even some SLP peers have been able to express that. You look at Dr. John Lai, and others. We don't even come on board, and I liked, you go hate some certain people, but genuinely, my brother, you and I, we have nothing to gain from Sierra Leone. God has blessed us enough. You see that the thing is what people they forget. The way you talk about this, this person, you want power, you want to go to parliament, you want to do this, it's my right. If I want to be president, it's my right. You understand? However, the fact remains is that the genuine Sierra Leoneans, they don't need anything from Sierra Leone whatsoever. They just want the best for their countrymen and women. They want the best. So all these things what they do all these years, the international community don't they pick up on it. They go on social medias. They
Oh, yeah.
communicate on social media as well. you know, so they don't they pick.
Absolutely. Absolutely, me brother. Absolutely.
So they don't pick on all these things. They know they talk. They know they obviously they are also on the ground. Don't forget, they have embassies in ground.
Yeah, the embassies
So they
there. Yes.
also
Absolutely.
yes. So they also have field officers, them where they go and connect with the independent research and provide them untainted research and provide them to the embassies, and which is communicated through the diplomatic channels to the various parts of the government. You understand? So they are aware, but this is not like the tip of the iceberg. This is not like, you know what I mean? Like when boil don't swell, tea don't swell, it big, take big, the moats don't come out. This protest then just don't catch her now. For the boil boss. You understand? We all
Yeah.
don't push this boil, don't push out, don't push the boil tail for make it don't bump now, don't push out, don't push out. This protest now don't come, cut her now, the boil don't begin come out. That's what's happening. That's how I see it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much. We come towards the end of this particular program. And again, I've been promised you say an hour and a half. And I'm so grateful to you for, you see, we una they have a good conversation. Sometimes you don't even realize how much of the time, they go. But this is what we have to do as part of our own contribution towards we country. And I have no doubt that we get good intention. The vast majority of us get good intentions for we country, because what we they look at now we country, we just they look at from different angles, and when you dey look at something from a different angle, you take to them as to how you will get to them. It's different from the person where they look at from a different angle but the same thing. And you said part of this from the beginning of this program, which are not go, yeah, kind of ever forget the contribution we most of we they kind of make na social media. I remember some time ago, I mean, they tell we friend them how we country and we country people and not become so politically inclined. Not me say they're sophisticated, but people, yeah, don't take to politics. But where some of
Awareness.
yes, sir, awareness, exactly, none of the word. Thank you so much for that. And people in the discourse at different levels, in different shapes or forms. But some with brother and sister, they can go down. And I can catch up that because and I know this for sure, like a way anytime we go down, the level also the mix is completely different. Not because I get small change in my pocket. So I just they go mix to also people that we get change they go. And a holiday you dey pan so na enjoy you go enjoy. Then when you come out there, then people are there with people and all they pan politics now una dey how they shape the thing, which is a complete lie. And I've been telling them this for the better part of 2 3 years. The opinion is shaped by with people and activity don't they? They not get the megabytes number for continue 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, like how many you dip and so. But they do have the time. So when you go down, if you go to the entire base, if you go to the ghettos, if you go to the football fields and different areas, these are the things. How you think say Adebayo able for talk to people and don't they? And then they resonate towards them. And then when we ready, we they in denial say that these things are not happening. We people are not interested in that. Now we are the diaspora. That is so wrong. And this now point one where we miss big time. But we know say we feel vindicated by waiting happen recently. That the people are very much more involved, more than ever, because of the unsung heroes where are called the smartphone, where they call the smartphone. That instantly, as we the broadcast now, we get over 300 people that when they watch we now. And let me say kudos to we YouTube page, because with Facebook page people are kind of familiar with them. But what they see now, a more than the amount of numbers of people where they watch now YouTube now, it's more than the amount of people where they watch now Facebook. Now Facebook we get a little bit over 150, and we get more than 150 now YouTube. And I'm really happy about that, because the emphasis get for shift, or we get for make appropriate decision on both platforms, how we want for perform, how we want for showcase what we they do. I am really grateful to both sides, but of course we Facebook people and they already know we. So we YouTube people them, I say yes. I say yes. Do you see me clench fist? It's a kind of Malcolm X sort of fist. We define and resist the odds. We go say waiting right for let we say. Yeah. Thank you so much for this program. We are almost at the end, but I'll get for ask you 1 2 3 critical question. I hate for just dwell on individual, but individuals sometimes they are really powerful. They've got a voice out there, they've got a followership and what have you. And this now with the death of evangelist Samson. He's dead now, he's gone. And may his soul rest in peace. Whatever circumstances he died in, he was a Sierra Leonean. So he's supposed to get some degree of decency. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, of him being a dissenting voice. Because that voice they represent hundreds of thousands of other voices, and it was having a meaningful impact. I wonder how you see in depth the circumstances, because there is so much on social media. We know say what happened initially, we begin get the news. And some of that news they will look valid. But 24 hours, 36, 72 hours after his death, we don't begin to see a deliberate attempt for mislead, twist the circumstances of his death. But generally, what do you think about Evangelist Samson? Because you must have heard him. We all the cross path as bloggers and vloggers, social media pundits, and etc. What's your thought about the late man?
Mr. Chroma, I want to join you on behalf of yourself, myself, and also I believe I can say that on behalf of TNN TV Media Empire as well,
Sure,
for
sure.
express with condolences to everybody who lost their life in this protest. The innocent citizens, the protesters, the law enforcement officers, them. I want to use this opportunity for express with condolences to them and their families. Nobody no desire for loss in life in this kind of manner. So we express with condolences to them. Now, to the assassination, because that not to killing, not to extrajudiciary killing, assassination. To the
Yeah.
assassination of Evangelist Samson, you know, be know the fellow. I've never actually listened to him. The only time when me ever listen to him, now way after in demise, where somebody send me audio, this is what he produced. You understand? And in that audio, there is no point where me look at and say, Uti say he warrant in assassination. That's the honest truth. If Uti say can be used as grounds to assassinate him, then me and you, Mr. Chroma, we are not safe in Sierra Leone. And that's very bad. You understand? That's like that's horrible. You understand?
Yeah.
Yes. If Uti is say na audio is tantamount to treason, then I tell you what, every Sierra Leonean should feel unsafe. Every Sierra Leonean should be extremely concerned because what he said is that BO must go. What he said that the protest is going ahead. What he said that they are winning the protests. You understand? That does not amount to treason. That does not warrant is brutal killing, is brutal death. It does not warrant that. He's a citizen. You understand? He has grounds to express his views, to support whatever movement he wants to support. And even if what he said amounted to treason, Sierra Leone is a democratic state. You understand, eh? Sierra Leone not to like North Korea when they go talk something against Kim Jong Un and shoot you. No. Then for arrest him, charge him to court. Now the courts then get the right for decide who is innocent and who is guilty. Not to the barrel of the gun from the police or soldier man. No. And I understand from all accounts that he was seated with two of his friends. Not to party office they meet up, not to anywhere. In a public place, he was seated there with his friends. And police officers they approached and start shooting and he ran. He took to his heels. Any natural person will do that. That's your natural reaction, is to take a flight, to escape from the danger. You don't go shoot the person and kill him because he's running away from a danger. He doesn't have a gun. According to the police statement, he didn't have a gun. He wasn't shooting. Why was he shot dead? And two of his associates, people forget, two of his associates were also killed. You understand? So my view on that is that I feel sorry not only for this fellow, Evangelist Samson in that one. I not only feel sorry for him and his family, and I understand he get a daughter. You know, I can't imagine the agony when they go through. I feel sorry for them, their families, but I mostly feel sorry for Sierra Leone. I feel worried. I think the government needs to do something to reassure citizens because this is worrisome, and he's not the only one that has been killed. I understand there are other people that they go to doors, and BBC has reported it. They knock on doors, you open the door, they see the person that they want, to shoot them dead and take the bodies away. So that has been happening, and BBC has referred to it as illegal and extrajudiciary assassination results in return. So this is really, really scary. And if President Bio is the president that he mentioned for the entire Sierra Leone, he need to ensure the interest of each and every citizen. You understand? Criminals in any democratic state, criminals they get right. We don't see in the US, we don't see in Europe, we say in the Netherlands, we say one bobo go shoot 16 people. The police officer they get water for their drink. You understand? He still get rights. He still get rights enshrined in the constitution, no matter how horrific it is. Now the courts they decide in faith. Law enforcement officer named job now for ensure the protection of lives and properties. Even the life of a killer should be protected by law. Now the court could decide whether they for kill him or put him in jail or free him. To the law enforcement officer in job for determining that. So my view on that is that I feel very worried for citizens. I feel very worried. You know, like people they will say, hey, this person of salon, we're not on the blog, we're not on salon danger right now. Why should citizens say that to us? Why? It's because of the events that have been occurring after the protest. The events that have been occurring, we've seen horrible videos. You understand? This is not in any way in support of them people when they intend for overthrow the government. This is not. I condemn it from the onset. If them they listen to some of we then this not for not ever happen. Because we call upon them, we condemn it from the onset leading to it. And during the protest, we condemned it. And we keep condemning it now. But the rights of the people is sacred and it should be protected. You understand? And President Bio, I listened to him addressing the traditional leaders, and I listened to him twice. I played it twice while I was driving, listening to his words. You understand? I call upon him. He need for communicate more with citizens. This is the first time this president has actually communicated at this level. He really needs to communicate more, and but also need for get a hold of and understand how people in the suffer in the country. Because right now he's only getting the reports that he's getting about what's happening. But citizens are genuinely suffering at the aftermath of this protest. Citizens are losing their lives. And those in certain parts of the country are losing their lives more than any other parts of the country. So the tribalism when the president is speak against is being manifested in the actions of security apparatus. You understand? They're selecting certain regions, selecting certain people to kill. So the president needs to be aware of it. And we are bringing this to him. So the death of Evangelist Samson is is a very, very sad event. And I can't help it. And I keep thinking about it. I'm like, this is bad. We have bloggers, we have social media pundits, we have advocates in Sierra Leone. What about them? What about them? What is going to happen to them? Are they safe? Are they secure? Do they have rights and liberties? That is a question for everybody to think about.
Well said, yeah. Well said, yeah. And this is the thing. When you bring people of critical and very sound minds, you make it clear you were no supporter of Evangelist Samson. But in as much as you disagree with them, what waiting before them wasn't necessarily being supposed for be in end. At least you could have given him his day in court as a decent and civilized society, a democratic state ruled by law and order. Yeah, law and order can broke down. But even when it broke down, now your duty as government, your responsibility to your people, that's the oath of office that you took when you swear on the Quran or the Bible, depending on your faith. For say, just like President Bio do for we 4 years ago, that I will rule over every Sierra Leonean. I've been looking for that tape. I've been getting on the archives, but unfortunately, I come out work late, so I'll not be able to play them because it be critical for let we play them. Just for sound as the reminder. Because of the speeches them way we the once again, before I move on to the closing stage, when I one or two just final questions on the same depth of these guys, and I'm not personalizing them because there are many Sierra Leoneans who have don't lost their lives. But you see, in this bloodletting, this blood curdling thing where we dip on, you get other people and we tower most above others. And I know this evangelist Samson. In name, especially within the APC circle, was meaningful for them. Whilst we need to embrace that in the sense of because in a be APC, other than the threshold here is him being a Sierra Leonean and not deserve the end way he needs. The fact that they're gonna McKinney Usa Ibinde, and I they ask you this again, and the president don't say McKinney when at the stronghold of the APC. Is the president, and this is a direct question, and we get for pause, yeah, yeah, even now at the pause because the way I want to ask you the question, which is direct. But has the president been helpful as the fountain of honor in terms of his speech, like we talked about earlier on in very first term, where he did meet with people on that level, the kind of engagement, and the year no more waiting in one for year and waiting in one for teller. Has the president been helpful so far, yeah, in this engagement them and his speech the way they give?
Look, I think at times of chaos, true leadership they bring about stability. At times of upheaval, true leadership they bring about calm, reassurance. You understand? Me, I look at the president. The first, I look at, there's few statements that is made. He's made three. Number one, now with BBC, in BBC Intel. Number two, now in national address. Number three, now a meeting with the traditional leaders. Those are the three since he returned to Sierra Leone. Let's look at them one by one. Yes, I'll be very brief. Number one thing where the president, the way address the international community, there's certain, he talked about the issue and how destabilizing the issues. And that's so true. He talked about how people were killed, properties vandalized. This is not a civil protest or peaceful protest. This is an insurrection. That is partially true as well. However, when you take a party such as APC, you put them in a box of terrorism. The whole party, you put another box saying that terrorism. And let me tell you, this is not the first time this Build administration has referred to APC as terrorists.
Yes, exactly. What,
Yes,
what what is it about calling half a nation terrorist? The last time
yes,
it didn't go down well, and you've
it
used the
didn't.
same thing again this time.
Yes. So if you look at it, we always say APC and SFP are the Alaki in the country, but APC and SFP, they are us. Not to just now we.
Wow. Can you repeat that statement again for maximum cinematic effect? APC and SLPP are us.
Yes, APC and SFP is Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone is citizens. We are the Sierra Leone, you and I, my brother.
This is
So when
profound.
we start pointing fingers at APC and SFP for all our dramas, we are actually right because we are the problems. You understand? We, because those parties represent us, we make up those parties. You get NGCC for CPMDC, all these other political parties. Eh? In me and you, with lifetime, I doubt we they ever attain to power breakage. Those two political parties, they are dominant forces since independence and they've been up to now. You understand? So they represent us. So what am I driving at? Half of the country now APC, half of the country now SLPP. Why do I say that? I have justification, undeniable justification for it. Look at the composition of the parliament after the election. You understand? Eh? Parliamentary representation are the true measure of citizens' them voice. You understand? Because the parliament then they choose who that they go represent, which party they go represent them. You understand? Now the party symbol first, then the individual. That's how it works. So APC had majority in parliament before 10 or 11 members were bulldozed out of parliament illegally. They had 10 or 11. So what I'm saying is that more than half of the parliament was represented by APC. Even now, APC are the majority in the parliament. So if you look at that political party and say all the people in there are terrorists, and that anybody will identify with that party as terrorist, you've identified half of the country as terrorists. That's what you've done. You understand? There are people in APC who not been support APC that time where APC will do bad. There are people in APC who exposed, who resign, when they kick out of APC, but they never supported some of the bad things that APC did. Would you say they were also terrorists? There are people right now where they not support insurrection, the insurrection within where APC, some APC element and support is. There are people who are disgusted at it, but they are strong members of APC. Alfred Peter Conte, the chairman, and one of them people, and will you say Alfred Peter Conte na terrorist? The speaker of ECOWAS sit down with Alfred day before yesterday. How you go sit down with terrorists? Now State House for go talk about peace. How? That is not true. You understand? This is what we look at. You understand? Half of the country is APC. It is the ugly truth. Just say there are political elements where then they act in as terrorists in the country. There are political elements where they toe the line of terrorism against the government. but not label the entire political party as terrorists. You understand? I think that is an ill-advised, whoever advised the government to time, and imagine the president is doing PhD in peace and conflict studies. Yes? The president doing in
No,
PhD.
enough finish so we can excuse them. But one thing that we can say here is in foreign minister, was a professor. You
Mm.
want to deal with something quickly, Akin?
Yeah, no, I'm
You
okay. Go
okay?
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm okay. Yes.
We can excuse the president because the president not finishing course in terms of the peace and conflict studies. So I mean, it was stopped halfway, probably due to other political and public engagements as he's now head of state. But one thing we can say for sure, I'd like for attribute Professor Francis. We're happy for being foreign minister now as a mentee to the president. He was actually the head of department at the Bradford University and at the Deacon of Education, United Kingdom, Bradford University, where have been this masterpiece of conflict studies, peace and conflict studies. And I can say about numerous programs that I'm shocked that this man, when he serve the president, we're supposed for the advise the president on them basis here of conflict, peace and conflict, how for avert conflict in itself. Either not the advice the president they listen, I fail for understand here quickly. I fail for understand here. I fail for understand that. But now the advice the president. So now then the conflict lies because it's not the president. The president not finish his own course in terms of this skill, in terms of this profession. But he
What
get a
thing you want
man
to
of
say?
eminence.
Let me interject. Let me interject, Mr. Chroma, please. My apologies.
So,
When you
please.
when you talk about Professor David Francis, I want to say this as a very honest person, and sincerely as I can say this. Me, I studied international relations. I did my undergraduate master's in international relations before I did the master's in social work. Peace and conflict, I do them as a component. Peace, conflict, and political science, I do as component within the international relations. Now, they enemy expertise. Yes, those are my majors. Not day where Professor David Francis don't do from where he assumed where this government come to power, will remotely resemble peace and conflict, the application of peace and conflict education. Nothing. I can say this, and I challenge anybody who study peace and conflict or international relations with a major in peace and conflict for make it come out and provide alternative justification. There is
And
nothing.
the way you generalize does that go back again to the very genesis, the GTT report?
Yes, that's remember there were two reports. There were two reports, my brother. There was a GTT report, government transition report, but there was also special auditing report. Do you remember that? Yes? You remember that? There was a special auditing report, there was a GTT report. Both reports were produced by Professor David Francis. Meanwhile, the first time I heard Professor David Francis speak, I was terrified in my chair where I was sitting. It was so scary. How this man they just throw words them. Haphazard, they just tweet them like that. Like that kind of person is dangerous to be around the president because a president like that where it talk like say no get control over what he talk is scary because it talk like the president in ears. And let me tell you, even lies if somebody line stay line is one day they believe him. It like you strongly strong. They don't line that yesterday one day they believe him. That is the dangers of having people where they're not stable around the president, where they don't get the intentions of whatever characters or whatever knowledge they say they get, they cannot read it. Let me tell you, even the way he speaks, when the man talk, there is nothing peaceful about it. In fact, diplomacy it start Obama they cost you, it might pay it cost you, mama. You go they smile because the way the guy they release the words, you know the mellow one, he rap and nicely, he dish them out to you. You go say thank you, thank you, thank you for insulting my mom. You understand? Because of in skills where you get Professor David Francis, we open the mouth, we talk. Even if they talk nice, the kind of word, the way they release the words, there, it trigger you. It triggers you. It's so confronting. You understand? Eh? It's so confronting. Every time he speaks, I think about Lima. Every time the guy speaks, I think about Lawrence Lima. I see Lawrence Lima exactly when he speaks. There is no difference. You know, like so confrontational, always trying to be in a conflict mood. There is nothing palatable about his approach. Nothing, zero. You understand? So, when it comes to peace and conflict studies, I haven't seen any resemblance of that in the actions and engagement. Imagine this guy they deal with international press, the international body, the diplomats them, they address diplomats them at the room at State House. Look at how he spoke, as if he's fighting with them. You understand? It's like you don't have any grounds. Look at how he spoke. I understand as a man, you need to be assertive. You know, Brother Chroma, you can be assertive. I can understand. Okay, Mr. Chroma one making point clear. I understand that. But you don't go speak in a tone consistently where appear as if the views of everybody else is rubbish. You can't. You understand? You are appointed into the position, you're voted into position. You don't own it. There'll be a time that you will leave. What did happen to Dr. Suvola today? Eh? And be big English there. Look at go speaker now. Try. No.
Oh, yeah, stop it. I should say, and this is the thing. And just yesterday, I got a conversation with another young friend of mine. Every time when I go out, of course, I'm withdrawing in the heightened state of security now in country because if some people ain't get the chance, the violence which is being, yeah, dished out in the streets of Freetown and the country Sierra Leone, then get mind for extend them. Now the places they are also within are the safe
Of
sanctuary of
course.
the West. Yes, and I know that for sure. I have been a victim, yeah, once or twice. But anyway, yesterday I did have a conversation, and the reason why they mentioned this without no name calling is because of what you say exactly. You see, social scientists, them, they're not they only listen to the words. They understand the words, the sentence as the people the way they speak construct them. As the audience when they speak to them, body language. That's what we look at. And that's what you've just said about the professor. And I share that sentiment today with you. He made the people so inconvenient, uncomfortable in the way how he been presenting language. But he been doing for effect. But it's not new about him even though he's a professor, a well-learned man. But somehow we get this communication problem, and there lies the issue. Yeah, we come to the very last part of this
I
conversation.
want to say this, Chroma, I want to say this.
Yeah,
You
please
see,
feel
Sierra
free. Go
Leone,
ahead. Go ahead.
we most we biggest assets them and we disadvantage. I say this to you with all certainty, Professor David Francis, having the same opportunity now Bradford or any other country say in there, he will never address the people like that.
Ah, yes, you are absolutely right, brother. It a play to your audience, but when he did with the other audience, probably people of different levels, different caliber, or
He
even
will
skin color, his
he will
approach and
never do that. You understand? Eh?
my
This is not
my
the
good.
advantage. Me, I can reach Sierra Leone. I have few people that I know that used to live overseas where they get bigger position. I challenge them.
I absolutely agree.
You understand? If you were overseas coming to work, even if you're not the CEO of the organization, you will arrive at work on time. You will. You will not come 2 hours late and expect that nobody will question you. Somebody, the board is going to question you. Ah, you don't come late. What's going on with you? Do you know you're supposed to be at work on time? How can we help you to make sure you arrive at work on time? Nobody is above. It's a discipline. You understand? And when you arrive in Sierra Leone, you feel like you know so much, you've been exposed so much, you have so much, so you don't care about due processes. Me, when I reach Sierra Leone, every time I'm in Sierra Leone, my brothers, my friends, they ask, oh, Bolo, drive you here, hey, hey, Lord, do this for you, that. I tell them, no. I do this in Australia where I am. You understand? I cook. Sometimes I cook. You understand? I take me picking them, we work at one at school, even though we have a car, I walk them before, I want them experience, let them know the reality of life. You understand? I do things around. You understand? Able for driving, forget gate man, forget this. No. I drive myself here. Everywhere I go, I drive myself. Which means if I reach Sierra Leone, all of a sudden I have become a king. No. You understand? We have an appointment. I will arrive on time. If I'm running late, I will text you or call you. Please, I'm running late. I'm stuck in traffic. I'm going to be 10 minutes late, but I'll be there. Someone will laugh, what call them. But I do that because that's what I do here. You understand? I don't just forget all those values, those good stuff that I have just because I arrived in Sierra Leone. I don't bury them. No, they're part of me. They're part and parcel of me. So you see, I look at Professor David Francis and a lot of people with the act of Sierra Leone, if they were in the West, they will never act like that. They will address people with respect and courtesy. They will show that regard when they engage people because they know if they don't, somebody's going to tell them, hey, don't be so arrogant, Mike. You can't do that. That's disrespectful. You understand? Somebody's going to tell them, and they can't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it. In Sierra Leone,
And yeah,
people
yeah, let me agree with you on that. I will have, for don't let you for let you continue on that basis there because you make such a great point. And so far, I think you've done extremely well in making every one of us understand, including the anchor of the program, a few things. And for that I appreciate. We're coming towards the end of the program. In fact, we are at the end of the program. Yeah, one question or two questions and let Ia wrap up because after all, he is the guest and I've been giving me word earlier on. But we get a tradition, yeah. We can identify and show solidarity with the people and when they watch we. Some people can elect that very much. Some people can elect for remain anonymous. And we just want to go into that chat today. But just by going to that, I want to inform Fambulem as soon as I can see the flyer on the page now with the host Comrade Koita, a man popularly known as Comrade Koita. He's also got a voice in social media. Of course, when you get a voice in social media, you get dissenting people and you get people who definitely agree with you, who just love you for what you say. But this na in we can try for understand. Hence, we they bring them different voices there. So, Comrade Koita, when I watch out, is going to be on the program on Saturday. Una not forget. So, una help for shape this flyer far and wide. It will not say we got Comrade Koita they talking or get reverse. But here's the interesting thing. I'm trying to set up because Padente Thomas, who is my guest here tonight, he takes a different view from people like Comrade Koita and others. Imagine you they set up, this is like they call a Muhammad Ali and Joe Foreman sort of boxing match. You build the momentum because you know what you will get. You know what to expect. So that's what I'm planning to do. So I host here today. I will host Comrade Koita on Saturday. And then from there, una keep una eyes and ears tuned right now this platform also will inform una of things to come. Because there's a likely intelligence sources then at the West can use. Highly likely that this thing may happen. Let me say go happen, no, but highly likely. So I look forward to that. So please help for share and keep tuned. So let me go to the comments then at the room. So we get Sister Fatmata Bangura, and I they read the comments then concomitantly what I mean by this, both on Facebook and YouTube. And I'm really happy with the growth of YouTube live viewership. They are now contesting with we Facebook page, who say we don't do most of we live videos, but we do have a dedicated channel. So if you want to know about we, not just make a decision based on what you hear between me and here today. We get about 500 videos. We are a content producer, content maker, 500 or so. So check we up Make sure you listen to them. Don't be lazy before you can begin poke a finger in our face or point finger in our face. So, Sister Fatmata Bangura, good day to you. Many thanks. Mo Bangura is watching from Reading. Hi, brother Mo. How you do? I hope all is well. And greetings to Reading in the United Kingdom. Lofty PC Okoto. PC Lofty is watching right from Bowtown. Look at that. Somebody from Bowtown. Lofty PC Okoto, greetings to you and thank you so much. I know we don't agree on everything, but of course, I'm so happy that you did watch from Bowtown. Very thankful for that. Thank you so much. Fatmata Bangura, well said, Mr. Ia. Freedom to democracy, freedom to speech and assembly, it is our democratic rights. Zainab Sakor, that's what we have said right now. They are just killing us. Fatma Bangura, we don't just trust the judiciary in Sierra Leone. David Bankso, this man is not relevant to the issues of Sierra Leone. He's just giving his opinion and he's not talking for all Sierra Leoneans. I don't believe that any one single Sierra Leonean border, and this is where I disagree with you. I respect your view if you don't agree with them. And here is the basis where you end with. He's not talking for all Sierra Leoneans. Every Sierra Leonean hold a different view. A vast majority might be on one side, but remember, say we not a one size fits all. We all get different thing and different way them how one see we country and the approach to the country or what that doing for lead we. But thank you for that contribution, brother Bankso. Lofty PC Okoto, thanks for the live program. Many thanks, sir, for watching. Fatmata Bangura, cost of living is too high in Sierra Leone. We all know the whole world knows about the global trend, but ours is way above. Of course, the reason, my sister, why ours is way above, and I agree with you, is we means of earning, we earn in power. Now, the West is still high, like we complain, and sometimes we can want compare. But the idea, the bottom line is, the West still they provide, we still get opportunities and jobs, it's still the hit we had, but then they compensate with that and cushion that. Even in Madabio, in recent interview, he mentioned that they make effort for try for cushion that blow. So all governments understand the blow. Zainab Sanko, I'm not sure you are really listening. I don't know who that exactly Sister Zainab mean. Mobangura, absolutely free speech and all that. Well said, sir. And I believe that's for Thomas Fudi Sanko. Um, um, that's a fact. It's an economic problem. Thank you very much. It is true. Sil Sise is watching live from Walworth. Walworth, not too far from me. It's like 10, 15 minutes drive from me. So Sil Sise, thank you very much for watching and please share the program. Mo Bangura, you are much better now. Go ahead. Okay, I think say now from the beginning of the program, we have been the chat time. Many thanks, brother Mo. Lamin Dinke. Hello, guys. Yeah, hi, Doc. How you do? I hope all is well. Thanks for watching. Lamin Dinke. Adebayo will succeed for force any government in Salon to freedom of speech, expression, and assembly. Mo Bangura, the citizens have a right to protest. Absolutely right. We all agree on that. Usman Conte, you look objective. Don't know who he was talking to, probably here. Of course, that's what we do here. Anita Kuroma, in social work, we do not wait for crisis but prevent crisis. Of course, it's the same in prevention of a crisis. Before then, the trend has moved. You know, they wait for let the crisis happen. This is a fact. This herself do couple of modules here, not only professionally or me, whatever, but I do couple of modules in peace and conflict studies. So I do agree with the sister. It has moved. You know, they wait for let it happen. You they prevent them from happening. It saves so much. Lamin Dinke, may Allah have mercy upon our brothers and sisters who lost their lives. Boy Jalo Jamboria, social work like trade unionism operates on social theory and don't take conflicts for granted. Absolutely correct, sir. I do agree with you. I'm not able to read the comments because they look very many, and I need for let year go is done so well. Mobangura, the state underestimated but more than enough. I'm just joking. Don't hold me responsible for that, please. People were afraid to come out from the south. They were threatened. Okay. Junior Caller Prince, I don't want to discredit this man, but no idea of security strategy bill. I work in a highly sensitive office in the UK. I can confirm to you that we were lucky that what SLPP plan did not work fully. I can advise you that the whole ideology was not what the public is seeing, but still the relevant things they want. Yeah, you want, yeah, this is directed at you. You want to respond quickly?
No, I mean that man did expertise that, and I welcome his views. And it's good that he's expressing it. I feel say everybody get a different angle, but in an expertise that, like he mentioned, so he's welcome to express his view. I thank him for expressing his views.
Thank you very much. And you see, this nine and called humility, this nine and called humbleness. Thank you. We won't go any further. Boy Jalo Jamboria, what is the threat coming from someone thousands of miles away? Are we saying every Sierra Leonean is a coward? Okay. Anita Kuruma, exactly. Always carry out assessment for risk. Well, it looks like we get Boku professional on this platform tonight. Boy Jalo
Mm.
Jamboria again. Yeah, maybe having too many programs running at the same time. No know what thing exactly, brother Boy Jambolia, they
I feel say
say.
that the internet in the play up.
Oh, okay. With the
Yeah,
interfere, yes, he's
yeah.
absolutely right. Even at
Mm.
your browser, if you get so many pages open, it does affect you
Yeah.
internet. Yeah, you're right. And again, brother boy Jalo Jamboria, like me, and not like way you they discuss me mama me mother bio. Aaron Fona. The platform for the protest was built by the Bio regime's lack of opposition acceptance and blatant violation of the constitution. It was it was founded. It was a opportunity by Adebayo. Okay, that's understood. I think Ia talked about that a lot on the program. Boy Jalo Jamboria, Emil, you get teacher mind. You papa na been teacher before politics. Well, of course, again, fumble, and for those of una we don't understand, boy Jalo Jamboria, probably you know me daddy when myself not even know, but these are smart minds. So me daddy was an intellectual. He teach na police academy, he teach na the military academy before he dey get scholarship 1967 or 1968, and he can England for can study law. Now then they give opportunity, just like waiting they happen now. Where una dey na different fields, and then where opportunity come, they ask you what you want. Some people they want minister and director. We under did and say we want can better themselves. So he can England, he can study 1 year law, money run out because government not been a sponsor law at the time. He end up now America, who say eventually he go get in BA, in masters, and in PhD. Teach na Howard University in Maryland. When I in alma mater, teach na Prairie State University in Texas. Before finally they convince her for come home and can help for contribute to waiting it on land, only for come home and then witch hunt them. This is what people don't understand. And this is back in 1977 when I just go high school na Albert Academy. And then me daddy began for hurriedly leave because his life was threatened. Say Ian Khalifa Smart don't come for can overthrow the government. People are actually counting on that. All the money we bring coming run broke because all the family will be depend on them. Then all the so then they can't line now we placing on money. I was a small boy then. Go Albert Academy 1977. By 1979, 1980, we don't left the country because my papa began for run. The mama not be able for run the house any longer. You not get money for buy plazas, and things like that. So we all go join with Daddy when I've been teacher and lecturer at the University of Liberia, for which then they call me now a foreigner. Me own people and I'm home, then they call me a foreigner. But that doesn't wash, isn't it? Thank you, brother boy Jambo Jaboria. Victor Fode, August 8th, they were high level security personnel with arms on the street, which caused people to stay home to protest. Work well. Aisha Adama Kake, the people have a right to protest and the police don't have a right to shoot at the people who are protesting. The government have a right to listen to the people, and without the people, there is no government. Absolutely without the people. The government derives from the power from the people. It's inscribed in the constitution. Masire Medley, the police making money now for the people they arrest. Of course, there's large bribery, arbitrary arrest they go on, and you name it. And then when people pay, they release them, and then they use all of this opportunity. Jeffrey Spring, hello TNN Media Empire. Hello Jeffrey Spring. Your name sound new on the platform. Yeah, and a very unique name, Jeffrey Spring. Many thanks for watching. Anita Koroma, after assessment, you can critically look at the level of risk and create a work plan on how you can minimize the risk. I say we get Boku professional there
We
tonight.
do. We do.
Abubakar Lagazi Barry. When the protest started, it was peaceful. Of course, every protest starts peacefully. Sometimes now elements within the protest, and I said this in one of my program a month or two ago, we can begin for misdirect the protest. It's intentional. Government can plant people in the protest, forgive people in the bad name, it happen in US, it happen in England, and what have you. I don't know exactly what happened with this protest as yet. Maybe the police come heavy-handedly at the protesters and it evolved into chaos. And I'm just saying this without any proof I'm alleging. So we dey wait for the investigation, a free, independent, and fair investigation. Martha Bangura is watching. Lamin Deke, let government take responsibility for all the loss of lives and properties during the protests of August 10th and beyond. I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Dinke. It's the government's responsibility. Yes, there were perpetrators, but it's how government reacted. That's what it is. So I do agree. Aaron Fona, the Bio regime has a lot to do in bringing down the tension. All Bio is doing now is not helping to bring down tension, but to appease the international community and have an edge to the UN trip. I agree and I not agree, bruh, Aaron Fona. Because for appease, after killing you people just for going at the UN, no. But for appease in base, he's throwing red meat and allowing them for carry out waiting and they carry out. So suddenly, just watch, and I promise you this: he is going to speak soon and say fine speech that he will have written after accusing you of being a terrorist and yeah, huge part of his population. That we are all one. We need for left this kind of thing where we dey do. That's coming soon, I promise you. But he therefore allow, in as much as he dey allowing people in review for vent their anger out, the same thing, brother Ian Thomas been dey say, he should have allowed the population for vent their anger out because there was a legitimacy in waiting them they want vent out. Mo Bangura Prince, may I suggest your guests log out and log in again? Okay, now the 10 with me, mommy, the catch time. Many thanks for that, brother Mo. Robert Cabo, Ia Thomas is saying something which is a fact. There are killings going on. Thank you, Robert. Boy Jamboria. Our nation is not in turmoil. It has always been because those of us who are educated are self centered, hypocritical, and idiots. To turn it around, we must put aside ego and use of mistrust. I agree and I not agree. The reason why I say I not agree, it is a fact that we nation day in turmoil. That's a fact. It's in turmoil. We can say, well, the turmoil has been ever, yeah, ongoing and etc. I agree with all the last part where you say there are so much competing interests here, and I want to let you weigh in on this. That Nana make we dey miss the point as to how we supposed to solve the problem. Because then competing interests, instead of supporting the state, or if na party they support the party wholesomely, we tend for the support individuals. We get different intentions, and this to me seems to be part of the problem. Yeah, your thoughts.
Yeah. Firstly, I want to thank all the viewers and commentators out there. I know we all not get the opportunity for speak, but the comments they be really good that way. Brother Prince, they actually read out these comments because it is show acknowledgement of owner contribution to the program. So thank you very much for your contribution, and I encourage you for continuing for express your views and participate in the TNN TV media program. This na a very healthy way we will be able ensure say we move the country forward. If we not talk about the issues then we will face, we know we will come up with solutions. Talking
Absolutely.
about it, everything I don't write yanda, whether it's a pro, anti, or anything, we appreciate it. I will go, I promise you, I will go through each and every comment and read them through. You understand? Whether it's personal attacks, whatever, I'll read them through because these are things that come from you. This is exactly how you feel at the time. So thank you all for our contributions. There is nobody wrong or anybody right. It is views that have been expressed and respected. Now, on a general level, moving forward for the country, I just believe that the medium for let people are able to talk about how they feel. Like in a relationship, for example, Brother Chroma, if you're in a relationship, we are married, say if una no dey talk, na dangerous time now. If the other person feel like their voices have not been heard, it's very bad. It's the worst. It's like cancer in the relationship. So communication, the platform, let person feel like they're free to express themselves. They feel like they belong. They feel like they have a stake in it. It helps them. It helps to bring about peace and stability and oneness. But when people feel like they've been silenced, they've been pushed in the corner, they can do anything. So I call on the government for make they able listen to what citizens are saying, and what we are saying here, we are saying it for the betterment of our country.
All right, Ia. I just dey read one or two, three more comments, and then we try for wrap up the show. And I'm really thankful for your time because we get two aspects of the comment, yeah, room. One YouTube and the other na Facebook. We got a lot of Facebook commenters, and even though YouTube don't begin they compete with the number of people where they appear on Facebook, but we got more Facebook people and where they sort of comment. So do you big? Give me time. Let me just read one, two, three more comments, and we go to the final question for today. And there are many new people. I see new people. Very interesting, Cynthia Kamara, Yusuf Samba, Bio must go. Yusuf Samba is still late on this Bio must go. I don't know how you do. Rooney B without Rooney B. The Whitman na una God. Your entire existence is making the Whitman own you. You can't solve your own problem without the Whitman involvement. It's a damn shame. APC is the same way. All these so-called African leaders, they hate African people. Wow, Rooney B gets some extreme view them. I love this. Rooney B again. Bio is simply a bully, an anti-African. Something went wrong in his upbringing, and now he wants to take that frustration out on the people. This is not somebody we're Western oriented. Don't read too much. Thank you for the contribution and the Alpha Baker. You can criticize this government on free education. You have to give him that, like him or not. Well, brother Alpha, and I think I mentioned free education, and I'm giving that to the president. You therefore understand, bro, the context in which I use that free education, and this is important. I am not against free education. I went to school in Sierra Leone, and by my resume today, I'm very, very proud to have gone to school in Sierra Leone at a time where education was the pride of the country. Now, one of the things that we could sell out to other people who came to our shores for can't get with education. At a time where we university and other colleges then were linked with Durham University and the baking of education in the United Kingdom. So no, I don't condemn the president initiative at all. I am critical of it, though, and don't get me wrong, because I think say there was another way for approach him, but having launched it, we all me they pray for let it succeed. All I was saying is they asked the president about the current social situation of the country. And all the president had to say, well, we've got free education and we educate people without the machinery where you educate the people waiting and they fall into. Are there opportunities? But that we need for think on a different level. Think outside the box, whether you support or not. This is important. I am not against that. I am for education. Yeah. Thank you so much, brother Alpha Baker. Um, Saidu Timbo, Sam Sumana is a member of the APC you mentioned. This might be of interest to Ia, but I'm not even going to let him answer this today because we hope for bring Ia on another day. Samson Mana is a member of the APC. You mentioned three other senior members as elements who appear to support the protest. You want to tell us Samson Mana did not support the protest? Expand. He asked a question and at the end he said expand. If I give you a chance for expand now, they will veer away from the thing. But aside with Timbo, I promise you this. I really promise you this live. With a plan for bring here back on the platform, we will take a different conversation other than the protest. And I promise you, I'm going to note this question down and this will be posted to here, just like you say at the end, for him to expand. Thank you so much for your contribution. Kunku Mutati, this is a familiar person at the platform. So true here. Salon people, please be patient. In huge number, register in September and October, then vote BO out. Okay, I think say I go left fan for now. Okay, let me read this last one. It's look long. Bobo Leon B. Aisha, some of your analysis, oh no, I believe say been try for say yeah, but let's see. Some of your analysis about the protests and those already assumed collaborators is missing the point. Now I think say they address this to you. One would expect the government to have done a proper investigation before coming to a premature conclusion, as you have alleged. My difficulty in such narrative is that certain individuals whose names are renowned in the diaries of the Bio government. I fear about the retribution that has already begun in some parts of the country towards certain individuals who are blah 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 blah. So I go left that for now. But yeah, let me come to this. The comments are many, and we can't just go on and on and on and on. I have to let you go. But here is the thing here. Um, there is a critical phase in the election process, just about a week or two or three in this the next 2 3 weeks, which is the registration process. In the face of waiting to happen now, in which we dey see retribution, and it's being used to maximum effect, in which a political party which is supposed to pose a threat to the 2023 ambitions of the current president, the incumbent president, President Julius Maada Bio. Will people turn out for can register? And especially with intermediary, some people are not go underground already, people that will belong to APC. Because in the current state of things, if then people and they were to emerge or submerge, come on underground, they will be arrested because they are already being labeled as terrorists. So how you see this registration process get for work between the two party them? Is it going to favor the SLPP? Is it going to favor the APC? And basically, I just tell you whether you take it or not here. But it does make a lot of sense, and I sure say as a reasonable man, you go agree. Most of the APC people don't go underground. Yet a process of registration is upcoming, and they don't label them terrorists. Will they surface?
I think the real question is whether the registration is actually going to go ahead on the 3rd of September.
That's another brilliant one, but let me hear you. Good one. I was
Yes.
just assuming that it does go
Um,
ahead, but deal
yes.
with both. Whether it does go
Yes.
ahead, and if it do
I,
go ahead, what happens?
I
Thank you
think
for that.
there's a big question around it whether it's going to materialize. I think there is a chance that the government might say that this protest has destabilized the country to the point that the registration process is untenable. I think there is a point. There's a possibility for that, and I think there is grounds to reconsider the timing because um, the country is not stable as it is. The country is not stable. When people will register, is more important. Is as important as voting. The registration is as important as voting. The voting process now don't start so the election process now don't start so with the registration. So it's a crucial moment. Should the registration go ahead, I think the government needs to organize a consultative meeting with all stakeholders for consider whether September 3rd is the suitable date for let this registration go ahead, or whether it can be pushed further for allow time for let the country settle, let normalcy return, and so that registration will happen free of fear and intimidation. What can be done? And I think say this is a crucial thing, a crucial question when you ask. Any sensible opposition right now in Sierra Leone for the lobby for let the government postpone the registration process. Any sensible government. And APC, if they really want to come back into power, this not the defining moment this waiting for call on this government. At the time we didn't get the international community's eyes on the country, for let registration be deferred by at least a month. By at least a month. The flow on effects or impact of this incident again for continuing to the rest of this year. So The event happens in August, in September registration. You understand? I think it will have profound effect. However, if the registration was to go ahead, there is no question on my mind whatsoever that APC stronghold, they no way will register to the level where they want to register. A lot of those people, and not only APC stronghold, as a country, a lot of citizens feel fearful for their lives. A lot of citizens feel unsafe to engage at any public level. So they will remain, they will abstain from all those processes. And what that means is that the voter registration turnout could be severely impacted.
Yeah, yeah, to the disadvantage of the All People's Congress. But the government no, they're not there under any pressure, yeah, for stop that because after all, if we agree, my position and from the beginning of this program, all of the activities they will they witness or even if we want to say the retribution after what potentially could have been planned by others is potentially playing in favor of the government. And one of them, now the activities about this upcoming election in terms of registration, where they play directly into the hands of the government. And like I put on to you, so the government will not be willing to stop that because after 1 week now, they go decide for create an atmosphere, whether false or real, for say, okay, all of this are stopped and we get obligation, the registration must take place. But still, people will be fearful, especially those belonging to the opposition party, for surface because they may be arrested. But the process will still go on. So my take on this here, what I try for director is all of the waiting happened within the last week. It plays to the disadvantage of the opposition party and much more to the advantage, in as much as you say, yes, they expose them to the international community, but they are still in charge. They're still calling the shots.
Yeah. No, I think there's APC is a party where they get a lot of how they call this Diana Konomani informed my husband something about Ali Kabas. There's a lot of Ali Kabas in APC than the SLP. You understand? What I mean by that? Ali Kaba now a mastermind when it comes to strategies of destruction, strategies of division, strategies of chaos and commotion, political treachery. Ali Kaba is a genius. But I tell you, APC has a lot more Ali Kabas than SLPP does. So I know they will come up with something. I know they will come up with some strategies to mitigate all the differences and the differences. And you need to know that, in fact, at times of crisis like this, when some citizens don't have enough, they don't care anymore what happens to them. Yes? This kind of event, in fact, it gets a reverse reaction. It can become counterproductive. You don't pipe pressure. Some man will care if you get for arrest but you won't have the line for votes. It is possible, it's highly likely. And these protests don't indicate that the citizens, somebody they see policeman, maybe you go push them. We saw that in the videos, Mr. Kurman. We saw that. So what I'm saying in essence is that the ruling government party may have their own views and strategies, but those views and strategies, as you've narrated, could be the fact that they haven't taken into consideration the desperation of citizens. The desperation of citizens. We see even after President Bill talk, people in Komona Kinyama Road and protest. You understand? We saw that. And up to now, people in the protest. So what am I trying to say? We should not underestimate the desperation of our
The
country.
people.
Yes.
So yeah, this is not finished yet. Is that would that be a fair assessment of which you just try for say within the last 45 seconds, 1 minute?
No, it's not. Absolutely not. And I think the government knows that. That's why you get Soja Man in the streets.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Let me come to the end of the end of this. Musa Conte is watching from New York City. Many thanks, New York City. Yay. We get few supporters there in New York City. I know a few there. Robert Cabo and Sori Ibrahim watching on the YouTube. And in fact, the YouTube number now surpassed the Facebook number. And I'm thankful for this. Do you want to continue for advertise the platform to be now this platform? Yeah, how optimistic are you of 2023? Remember that there is a timetable, by the way, and it begin with this process we'll talk about just now. But you say you even wonder there's some degree of pessimism whether that could even go ahead. And if that not go ahead, which means that other tailored, points in at the calendar, it wouldn't happen, and that obviously obstructs 2023. How optimistic are you about 2023 as a whole?
Look, I'll just say this because I'll be heading to work very soon. I'm monitoring to it, but I want to say this in terms of 2023. I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
Wow.
And please don't take my word for it. And I'm not wishing for it.
No,
I'm
no, I
not
don't
wishing.
think so. I don't think so that
Yes,
you wish for it.
but
You're
I
just
think
saying it. This is
yes,
analysis.
I think it's going to be a bloodbath. And the indication
Because the
is
stage is set.
yes, it's just a protest. This protest don't indicate to you how 2023 election is going to be. This
So yeah,
protest,
yeah. You're about to go to work. So I just ask one, two short question and then you give we you submission so you can go. So based on what you say, is it on the basis of either way, let me say the elections not happen, there will be a bloodbath. The elections happen, this side lose or that side lose, because to win somebody will have to lose. There's going to be a bloodbath, either or. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
what I'm saying is that the election will definitely go ahead. 2023 no will pass. We will get election. That they will push and but that date 2023 that year they no will pass. We'll get election no matter what. Now my fear is about during the election period. Yes, events leading to the election, like the election is supposed to be on the 24th of June. So my fear is from April now, the events that will take place from April to June. Yes, and the events that will take place in June during the election and the aftermath of the elections. You understand? If Bio loses, will he give up peacefully? Will there be an uprising? You understand? There's a lot of things. You and I, we're reasonable people. We think ahead. We think years ahead. We can see that the current climate of things raises eyebrows as to what becomes of our country during and post elections. You understand? So these are the things.
Yeah, so we get here Pandenta Thomas where they talk to we today. And yeah, I have to let you go. But
Mm,
here is the final. Let's take a soft landing because you've said so much, yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. But here is
yeah.
the final landing. I think say we understand you either way, there is gonna be some kind of problem. Um your final summation on this program. And the reason why I say final summation, from the very beginning, we talk pre protest, during protest, and post protest. And we talk about people that within the media, where they help for exacerbate this situation. So before you end this beautiful program that we've had, any word of appeal to them people, we all generally, what do you get for tell Sierra Leonean people, like for temper down, those of we where they talk them toxic rhetoric there and things like that. What in are your final word here?
My final word is that President Bio, His Excellency Dr. Retired Brigadier Julius Mada Bio, is our president. He's our commander in chief that we elected into office. That has to sink in. There is no oh, but this, but that. There is no but. That's just what it is. Every citizen must. None of us say should or much trial. No, no. You have to unequivocally accept that His Excellency Dr. Retired Brigadier Julius Madawini Bio is our President and Commander in Chief, where we elect into office from 2018 to 2023. The moment everybody accept that, then we will see clearly the way forward. All right. Nobody should question that. Nobody should undermine that. We should all respect that. The reason we respect that is not because of SLPP and President Bill, is because we respect our constitution. We respect our country. We know that we respect our electoral system. This is a decision we all made in 2018. Whether you voted or not, decisions were made on our behalf by those who voted. So we have to accept that. Number one. Number two, if you say these protests don't happen, don't. It has happened. People don't express their views, and the views they don't be captured by the international community. I think it's time for us as a nation to heal. It's time for us as a nation for make we regain normalcy. For make we do that, we call on the government, the BO administration, President BO in particular, for make it show leadership. Make it show say yes, he understands the plights of citizens. Make it show say yes, yes, he is there with the citizens. You know, the up here citizens, we are all on the same page. This is the time to show it. And sometimes in leadership, somebody can do whatever they do to you, but you look at the bigger picture. It is time for the SLPP government to be the bigger man in the room. So I call on citizens for make we show restraints, make we show care and regard for the due process and law, and make we able at the same time things that are not going wrong, that are not going right, make we express those things. Let we make sure say people in Yeribota, yes, whether through social media, whether through the international community, let's find a way to express it so that the government in Sierra Leone and the international community is aware of it. But let we work collaboratively in the best interest of our country. Violence is not the solution to our problems.
Wow, yeah. On this note, I really have to let you go. You ended, my brother, on a very high note. And let me see whether I can paraphrase your words, because these words are so powerful. They're going to resonate for decades and decades to come. I can promise you this. There are times in history when things that happen in decades happen in a day. And there are times when things that happen in history happens in decades. This one certainly, what is going to resonate in decades has already been said just in today. And this is your words, trying to paraphrase it. It is time for the president to show leadership. It is time for the people of Sierra Leone to show and respect the laws of the country. It is time for us to move forward. What is behind us is behind us. What has happened has happened. It's important for that we understand them, but what is happened is happened. We can't just hold this as an excess for go forward, or it's going to be an excess, just like if you fly plane and then you therefore pay for that excess day, where maybe might not even be necessary. But the onus is on the president now, and we they call on President Bio. Please, President Bio, we want to hear a different language. We want to let you show the magnanimity where your office full of, where you say full of. We want to let you show, we say you are the fountain of honor. And on this note here, Thomas, I want to say thank you very much. And family, will not forget, we try for bring here back, but when we bring come back, it go day against other people and we probably opposed to in view, diametrically opposed to in view, and the other people are diametrically opposed to his view, which makes the conversation very interesting. Yeah, thank you very much, my brother, and I will catch up with you soon.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to
You're
the viewers
welcome.
and listeners.
Yeah,
Bye.
blessing to the family, brother. You take care. Bye bye. Yeah. So, Fambulem, this is it. We've come to the end of another very beautiful program. The interest in this program is for make sure say that we country find a bearing, a footing. It don't happen. People and not die. The people that will die is unfortunate. These are Sierra Leoneans. And we believe that this platform say we should see these people as Sierra Leoneans first before anything else. And we can't just they go on the basis without evidence for begin for say these people are this, these people are that, and especially so at the highest level of government. Government need for know well. government na in dey na power, but enough for use their excessive powers them way he get as against in young people. That ne they bode well. But with the call on the presidency, with the call on the government of retired Brigadier His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, that enough bloodshed of Sierra Leoneans has been shedded already. And on this basis, enough is enough. We need for back off from this brink of destroying our own nation, the only nation where we get. Okay? And I want to say thank you to all the one that we watch tonight. Okay? Over 300 people watch tonight. Remember, I say we broadcast this simultaneously to different platforms, different people in the watch. We aim an intention now for stitch the hem of peace between we and others. When I say we and others, I they talk about dissenting voices. Because we get we right for dissent, but for begin for plunge we country into a state of bloodshed as we see this bientem, because other people and take the owners for take to the streets and therefore say the president must go. And we see that as an audacity against the president and call say there must be blood for blood. That is not good at all. So we ask President Bio, please, President Bio, if you are listening, sir, we don't say you get better things for do. Let me just confirm that. But there's a possibility from all what you don't say that once in a while you do listen to relevant social media, or you people and we attached to you, advisors and what have you, and especially at this critical time, they are watching social media platforms. Those of us that are far away, home from home. President, it's time to tone down the rhetoric, sir. It's time to extend an olive branch to the people that way you feel say even oppose you, we call for you go one. You can feel a serious grievance, but this now you people. And it's time for us to look into ourselves and ask, why these people they call for me go one? I'm sure you will agree with me, sir. If you watch now or you get for you read this conversation later, because we get for cut them into pieces and share out there. Why are my people that are they try so hard for that they so much against me? Why are they calling for my go one? Probably if you ask yourself that question and try for look into that in all sincerity, not to them Batman the way they come and tell you what you want for your read. Because that's what's happening around you. You are well protected, you are well cushioned. Then they tell you the bad news. They are only telling you the good news. For example, it's all the people we come on a do on the 10th of August and before the sittings and what have you. Now people are way opposed to you. This could very well be untrue, Your Excellency. But until you order a fair investigation leading to elections, you will never get the crux of the matter, and posterity is the one that will judge us. Right now, you then are you high horse, you then are you high table, you then are you high position, and you can call. You are calling the shots. No, you can call the shots, but the shots that you've been called, how very fair are they? How much of the problem that you do understand? Because like when we say what you start where you they respond, it's like yes, the president has to be seen tough, and probably that's what your advisors are telling you. But tough against your people, what has your people got other than power where they give you? Now they vote you in. Now they call for you, say, well, Madam Biona, you turn this for can rule we because why you promise them a new direction. Sir, you need to ask yourself what that new direction will you promise your people. Have you given them that? Remember the issue of bread and butter. Remember some of your videos that before you became president, that our people are tired. They are tired asking about the price of a bag of rice. They cannot afford a bag of rice and so forth and so on. You made those videos and they are out there and the people are drawing from those examples. But today, it's like say them videos and they're not relevant anymore. But once more, like I say, sir, posterity is the one that will judge us. On this basis, Fambul, when join me, I think I get one more program on Friday. There is an APC lady been to we call her chair lady who is vying for a position within the APC UK and high women leadership. She will be on the platform on Friday, and on Saturday we get Comrade Koita, and we will tell you now waiting else they come. On behalf of this platform, the T and NTV media, to which I'm very, very proud, and there are many things coming. Keep an eye and an ear open, because another eye and ear is open for different things. That much more we admonish. It's been a great pleasure hosting you all. Until I see you again, thank you and goodbye.